Do we have everybody? I've got 6 o'clock by my count. Everybody here? All in, all done? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I can read this. Okay. I got it. All right, so I have 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, I call this meeting of Saginaw City Council to order. Please rise for the pledges. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Please be seated. Item 2 is the invocation. For that, our friend, Pastor Michael Orr. Welcome, sir.
Let's pray together. Righteous and loving Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be able to come here, to be in a free country, and to be able to speak of matters that are important to all of those here in Saginaw. And we pray, Lord, that as you are with us today, that you would help us to have wisdom and understanding, to have patience, and to be able to work together to make this community better for everyone here. I pray, Lord, that you bring a blessing on all of our leaders here, on all those who are part of the city council and our mayor, on those whose families often deal with some of the same issues and struggles that they deal with, helping them and encouraging them through it. We pray for all those first responders and others who work so hard to protect the people here, and we pray a blessing on them and their families as well. We thank you, Father, for our teachers and our students and all of our schools and their superintendents and principals and all those who work so hard to educate our children. We pray for safety for all of those schools. Pray safety for all of our students. Pray safety on all of our teachers and staff. We pray that you would be with us and watch over us as we meet tonight and talk about matters that are important to people here in Saginaw and to those who are impacted by the policies here. We pray for wisdom and understanding for the council members as they make these decisions and give them all the wisdom and understanding they need. Father, be with us as we enter into holiday seasons. I pray for safety for our children during Halloween and for travel as we go here and there. And just please help everyone to be safe and help everyone, Father, to have a spirit of kindness and understanding with each other and patience. We pray for a blessing on this wonderful community. We pray you would be with all of us and help us to turn to you in difficult times and praise you for the good times we have. We thank you so much for this time to meet together. We ask you all these things in your holy Son's name we pray. Amen.
Reverend. Thank you, Reverend. Audience participation. You are allowed to speak on any listed item on the agenda. Fill out one of these forms for the city secretary, and you're allowed to speak. There is one item that is a public hearing. Once I call for folks in a public hearing, anyone can speak in that. You don't have to fill out a form. Item number 4 is the consent agenda. It is large, and I've got requests to pull several. So let's go. A, action regarding minutes of September 20th. B, action regarding recommendation from Advisory and Recreation Parks for early weather warning system. C, action regarding recommendation from Advisory and Recreation Board for relocation of the Kiwanis Veterans Park. D, action regarding recommendation from Advisory and Parks Board for purchase of Christmas tree. E, action regarding approval of interlocal agreement with Tarrant County for construction of an earthen berm. F, action regarding funding interlocal agreement with Tarrant County for FM 156 industrial. Action regarding authorization of interlocal agreement with City of Fort Worth for same intersection. H, action regarding authorization of Task 2 professional services agreement with Cobb, Finley, and Associates right away for the aforementioned FM 156 intersection. HI, consideration action regarding Chapter 380 Economic Development Agreement with Blazing Hospitality. J, action regarding aquatic center repairs and renovations. K, action regarding new fire engine purchase. And J, action regarding contract renewal for Tarrant County Emergency Services District Number 1. So I have requests to pull items B, D, E, and J. I also have requests for someone to speak on C and D. So we will pull C as well. I hope that makes a lot of sense to everybody. So let's first let's entertain a motion on A, F, G, H, I, K, and J.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve items A, F, G, H, I, K, and L on the consent agenda as presented.
Mary, second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Or no, sorry.
No.
We get to vote. I forget. We're automated now. Thank you, Keith. Motion passes. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum. Councilmember Big Horse is out, but the rest of us are here. Thanks for coming, folks. This is a big evening. So let's start working down the list. Let's go to B. Action regarding recommendation from Advisory and Recreation Park Early Warning System. Randy Newsom, Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was brought before the Parks Board on the 17th, I believe, of July, or 18th of July, at a request from Jason England, our Parks and Rec Director, or not Director, Supervisor. It was tabled until we could get some more information on the weather system. We did that, in fact, at the next meeting on the 26th. They came back with a representative from Perry Weather, kind of explaining a little bit more about how it works. With all the events that we have in the city, anywhere from softball leagues down there, people with aluminum bats, the food truck park, swimming pool, all these outdoor activities, we don't have. A lot of cities have gone to this early weather detection system. In fact, Keith, Jason talked to you about that. I'm talking with Joseph. He thinks it's a great idea. It'll just give us the ability to know if there's any inclement weather moving into the area, and we can vacate the premises, whether it be the swimming pool or whatever.
Questions for Randy?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So this is just extra precaution just for the outdoor activities, right? Because
Correct.
what the fire department does is completely different.
Correct.
Okay. And then Cindy Big Horse wanted me to ask, was this in our budget? And
No,
where
it was
would
not.
this
It
money
was
be
not in our
coming
budget.
from?
It was a request from the park board that they
Okay.
funded,
And where would the money be coming from?
coming from the park board.
From the bond money or?
No. This is coming from their
Donations.
donation fund. From the donation fund.
Okay. That's all I needed.
So that is, any more questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, I got one. So if it's coming from this, so they're going to pay the reoccurring cost every year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the second thing, I actually got the packet here that when I came in, because I had a whole ton of questions and they got answered. But I do have one. Okay, so we put this in. There should be a policy behind it. So when that siren goes off, so say there's a lightning, an audible and visible siren is supposed to go off. What's the policy? Do you have to leave the field?
You vacate the premise.
Okay, so where's that policy written? Are we going to have that policy? And
Our aquatic center, we have a policy where it's if a lightning strikes within 10 miles, then out of the pool, and you stay out of the pool until there's a 30-minute window before you can get back in. Let's see, in 29 minutes, that lightning strikes again, it starts the clock over again.
okay, so is that going to be written down? Is that going to be the policy for all of our outdoor areas? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Who's driving this? Gabe?
So,
Well, I just wonder, can you put a sign on all of our outdoor things that if you hear the siren, you need to vacate or something like that?
Yeah, so I think my understanding is the leagues and their officials, Jason works with them, we would let them know the protocol. This is very common in our region. The lightning, I think there's an app or something on the phone.
An app
so
on the
Yeah.
phone.
the league, whoever the contact person is, whether that's the team manager or the umpire, would be notified, and they would be asked to.
Reading through this is more than, you get that, but it literally, there's an audible and visual siren that goes off, a visual, light strobe, and an audible. So if that goes off, again, if nobody tells anybody what the policy is and it goes off, they're just going to look around and keep playing.
So Jason will come up with a written policy
Okay.
for everybody that has to follow.
Okay.
One of the great things is this same software is in quite a few municipal facilities. For example, like the city of Hearst has this, and they have that same alarm type of thing, and we can recreate the wheel, or we can borrow the wheel from somebody else,
Right.
and get how they do their rules for that and handle that. So
I agree with that. So
They can help
I
us
got
out
no
quite a bit.
problem if we reach out to, I think Keller was one, there were several around here. We reach out, see what their policy is, and take theirs and implement it here. I'm fine. I just want to make sure that we don't spend the money on this and then don't put a policy behind it to tell people what they're supposed to do when the siren goes off.
Well, I'm sure that you'll have to label the strobes and everything anyway, won't you? That it's weather, whatever, okay.
That's all I had.
You know, some people, you have to hit them on the head to get them to do what you want, so.
that is correct.
All right, anything else on B?
No.
Item C, action regarding recommendation from advisory recommendation Parks Board for relocation of Kiwanis Veterans Memorial Park. Director of Public Works, Randy Newsom.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is another item that was presented to the Park Board back on the 18th of July, and they voted to table it until we could come back with. They had a desire to see a new plan, a new design to reduce the cost of some of the items that were in it. Laura Presley, who's here tonight, she's over there. She was at that meeting. She took down the notes from the board's and suggestions and went back and redesigned it and come back with a plan, reducing the trees, the shrubs and stuff that were on the original plan, reduce the cost some, and we'll also have, just to let y'all know that I think Councilmember Big Horse had spoke with Laura earlier when there was some discussion about this being moved down here, about having some areas for the seniors maybe to plant plants in the flowers and stuff, whatnot out there. But we'll have plenty of open space for that if that's their desire. And I think Laura, you want to step up and.
Good evening. I'm Laura Presley with Kimley Horn. So, like Randy said, I don't really have too much to add to his notes on this. We came to Parks Board, got feedback, addressed comments, and have the revised concept that's in front of y'all, as well as the revised costs that are associated with that. So I'm here to answer any questions, comments that y'all have.
I kind of have one question, because if we're going to move it behind City Hall here, we're going to have some signage again, once again, telling where it's going to be located at and everything. So when we do like that drive-by veteran thing that we do occasionally, well, how are we going to do that back here? Are we still going to do that, or what?
We'll absolutely do it. It won't be drive-by every year, though.
Oh, okay. It's just drive-by that 2 years?
Just for COVID.
Okay. Just a question.
Sure. Any other questions? I do have one person that wants to speak. I wouldn't forget about you, Kelly. Come on up.
Kelly Stewart, 404 Mustang Drive. My question is, one, if you'll look at the new concept, it says that there needs to be 7 benches. I walked back there. I don't know where we would put 7 benches, and they're quite expensive. I could see 1 or 2. And I would like to say my husband was 22 years in the Air Force, and we have come and looked at the park, and we were at one of the park's meetings, and we both have the idea that since it's so far back there, it can't be seen, we're just spending a little bit too much money. It's not necessary. I know there were cuts made. The first one, okay, I got to go by my list here. I'm sorry. Has anybody talked to the Kiwanis Club? If this is going to be called the Kiwanis Park still, do we know?
That would be Randy's question.
As far as I know, it's still going to be called the Kiwanis.
Well,
Memorial
should they be notified or have an idea? The lady at my bank is the president of the Kiwanis Club, and she hadn't heard anything from anybody. And I don't know. I don't know how that works.
I told her before we were going to move it.
Okay.
But I haven't told her any of the details. I
Okay.
Back with her, but I spoke to her last time at last November.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, maybe one of those things you forget.
But I have not got followed
Okay.
back up with her. We need to do touch base with her.
Yeah. And this is kind of one of my little pet peeves is if you, as you walked in, looked at the front of our building here, it looks like nobody is, doesn't look like, nobody has taken care of it in 4, 5, 6 months. And with that back there, I mean, if we're not taking care of the front of the building and the beds, what about something back there that nobody sees? How are we going to take care of what we have?
That would be a gate question.
Can address some of the comments. So the current location south of the fire station is not practical.
I totally
It's very
agree.
loud, although it's in a visible location. No one can use it.
yeah.
We use it once a year.
Yeah.
The Mayor Pro Tem mentioned for a Veterans Memorial event. The idea is this behind City Hall would be quiet, more conducive to rest and peace and reflection. We will maintain it in the same manner that we have in all our parks. I think what you see some throughout this year is we've had a
hard.
pretty significant drought, so
Yes.
that all takes money to maintain. But as far as quality and appropriateness, it would be maintained in an appropriate manner. The cost is the cost. I mean, public improvements are expensive. I
Yes,
wish
yes.
they were not. Benches and our monument site, which it is significant, but
Oh, I agree. It needs to
That's-
be moved.
sure.
And that's a nice area back there, but $250,000 is a lot of money. And is this, it said, where did it say? The cost of the relocation of the Kiwanis Park would come from the Future Park Bond Fund.
that's correct. So the City Council, if you'll recall, approved an intent to reimburse. What this allows the City Council to do is expend money on projects, and when we issue our planned bond issuance in 23, we'll repay that
Okay.
with the bond. So the money is already accounted for. It's basically we will spend it now and then pay ourselves
Okay,
back
but it's not the bond that we just passed. I mean, we passed.
in 21.
It is the one from 20.
It is, okay.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There were
So the
$4 million in there for parks.
Well, yes, I just didn't know, it just said future park bonds, and I thought, well, we've already had the bond.
Right.
Okay. That's my concerns. I think it's, it's a wonderful idea. It does need to be back there, but, I just think seven benches is a little bit much. Anyway,
That's
thank
fair.
you.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
want to tell you
I
that,
have
Kelly,
one other comment. Go ahead.
Randy?
so about the planner, this year, we had an unusual year with our mowing contractor.
Yes, and I realize that too.
That, in their contract is to take care of the beds, and that didn't happen,
I
so.
did not know who was.
And then back there, as far as back there at the new park, a Memorial Park, we took out all the planter.
Yeah, I know.
So all we'll have is trees and grass.
Yeah.
Unless the seniors come in and
Yeah.
want to put some planter.
Okay, well, thank you.
I have one other comment. With the Boy Scouts, they're always looking for something to do. Maybe they could help keep it up too, since it's a memorial place.
Yeah, I don't know that we involve the Boy Scouts with maintenance, but certainly
I mean,
additions.
not maintenance, but for the plants and stuff, and it being peaceful, like they did the.
Yeah, I don't see that being a problem. They work with,
Yeah.
Sure.
Something-
They work with
always want
Keith.
something to do.
yeah, absolutely.
Wayne from the Scouts, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have that through the beautification committee. We have the adopt a spot. They could adopt it.
Yeah, somebody could adopt a spot too, yeah. Okay.
Just reach out to them, yeah.
Yeah, I had one question. Have we involved, how far have we involved our veterans into this, to the design and stuff? Did we reach out to any of our veterans or anything, or is this just something we did on our own?
Well, I don't think we didn't reach out to any veterans that I'm aware of. Laura, you,
No, we did not reach out to any veterans specific to this community. We based our design off the existing site, the desires noted by Parks Board, and then also with kind of design best practices for Veterans Park. So our team has experience with multiple veterans memorial sites, so using kind of our best practices from those is how we developed this.
So when we do finally get this part done and stuff, I'm assuming we're going to have a dedication and we will have our veterans involved?
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Any other questions on C? Moving to D, action regarding recommendation from Advisory and Recreation Parks Board for the purchase of a Christmas tree. Randy Newsom.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, last year we moved the existing tree that was down here at the rec center. We moved it to the park because we had the parade down there, it ends down there, and we had the Christmas tree lighting down there. Well, the Christmas tree that was there was purchased by the Beautification Committee, and it was their baby, and they like it down here at the rec center, and it was big and beautiful, as y'all all know. So we presented to the park board, and they agreed that we probably need to put another tree down here in place of that one, because we really want to keep that one down there for the Christmas tree lighting. So took it to the board. They voted to recommend to the council for approval of purchase of another tree. And I would just say that, not to exceed the 25, whatever it is, 25,000. I thought I had it right here. 25, yeah. Not to exceed that amount, and put a new tree down here.
Questions?
Yeah. I agree with the tree being moved to Willow Creek, by the way. It's a really nice place, and that's where it needs to go. The city bought the tree. I'll just throw it out there right now. Not an individual. It's the city's tree. The city decided to move it to Willow Creek. It's where there was more space and stuff, to me, under the recommendation of the Beautification Committee. I've asked, I sent emails and I asked, okay, what is this? Most cities only have one big tree. It's the point, and we've got our big tree. It's a nice tree. I don't disagree that maybe we need to put something here, but I can't get behind $25,000 to put yet another tree with nothing other than somebody's feelings got hurt. I mean, the city did what they felt was right, and I agree with it. If we can come up with a reason, something that will better the citizens, give the citizens something better, I'll get behind it, but not $25,000 for yet just another tree to fill a hole. Because my question on that is, well, okay, that's 1 month out of 12. What are we going to fill that hole with the other 11 months? So if we can put some color, people say, hey, we're going to put maybe a smaller tree and we're going to do stuff around it, have some caroling, something like. Give me something to vote on that's actually going to that's going to give an ROI to our citizens.
So
what did we put in that spot down there when it wasn't Christmas?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
Why would we want to put something else?
Well, I think what he's saying is just the price of it. So maybe if we could find a tree that wasn't cost so expensive and we could dress it up a little bit.
Or put something totally different. We got a tree.
A big Santa Claus.
So I have another. That's the reason why I suggested a cost not to exceed the $25,000, because not sure we could even get a tree 26 foot tall here in time. They're telling me now it could be mid-December. There is an option for a 16-foot tree. It's $16,000, so it's a little cheaper, but it's 16 foot tall, and you can add to it each year if you want to add to it to get it taller.
You going to be able to get it here by Christmas?
It can be here by December 1st.
Well, here's a problem. You're putting yet another tree, which is 16 foot tall. It's less than 2 miles from our other tree. I just don't see the need so close together to have two big trees, unless somebody can tell me what the backstory is behind it. How are we going to use that tree? What kind of services, what kind of extracurricular activities we're going to bring in for the citizens?
We want to talk about why we moved it in the first place? Because it was here for years, and we moved it down there to be up with because of the parade. We didn't have to move it, but we decided to.
Yeah.
That was a conscious decision by the city. Yeah. So we didn't have to move it. We can move it back and leave it up here. I'm fine with that.
Well, I like where it's at. I think that was absolutely 100% right decision to make.
Randy, I have a question. We used to have another big tree. Do we still have the other big tree? How big is it?
It's, I think it's 12 foot tall.
Okay, so if it's 12 foot tall and we added some different lights around the trees or something to make it more festive, would they be happy with that? We've already got the tree. We could decorate it, throw some lights on the trees, inside it.
We can go that way.
But when we
Absolutely.
put the tree up, what are we going to do around there again? I mean, I don't mean to sound
It's Christmas, it's going to look good. It's not really, it doesn't have a huge purpose. I mean, we're
I think
not
everybody
gonna
got
do it every
used to
day.
seeing that big tree when you drove down McElroy.
It's
for
decorative.
years.
Yeah.
And now there's like a board. It's like something's gone.
Well, we put some little sleigh bells or something right here in front of City Hall, right? And so if we put a smaller tree, we could decorate it and make it look really nice. I would even loan you my nativity set if somebody don't steal it, but, because it's big, but something just to kind of beautify right there because it's close to City Hall. And something.
Okay.
And if we've already got a tree, we
Oh,
can,
I agree with that. If we already have a tree, then it.
maybe we can, I'm sure I could get some more people to help decorate it, okay?
Are we trying to say we're getting too many trees up and down McElroy?
No. He just doesn't want to buy
Sort of
another
what we're
tree,
saying.
and I kind of get that.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
All right, we do have a request to speak on this item. Kelly?
I thought that little boy was getting up to speak.
It looks like D and C. Was it B and C? Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. Okay. All right, other questions on D, folks? I don't want to keep going too much longer on this. Yes, Mayor?
Well, I just wanted to give the other side of the coin, and we do have a parks board that makes these decisions. We don't have to agree with their decisions, but, they have that money in their fund, and, I tend to want to go along with what our different boards suggest unless there's a really compelling reason not to. So I would like to go along with their recommendation, and that money is in the park fund.
Well, thank you, Mary.
So could we say table this and give Randy enough time to look at that 12-foot tree and come back with a recommendation?
Let's first ask where are the funds coming from for this new tree? It's coming out of the Parks Board donations.
Mm-hmm. And
Why
this-
are we even?
Why do we even care?
Never mind.
Because the citizens of Saginaw donated that money, and we're stewards to make sure that that money is well spent and good. We don't get to spend it like drunken sailors.
So, Mr. Mayor, I might add, I understand there's some sticker shock, but you'll recall the trumpet we purchased last year was at over $50,000.
The what?
The trumpet, the big trumpet.
Yeah.
So these commercial grade decorations are not something you can buy at Lowe's. I understand. It's something people really like. If you would like to purchase it, great. If not, I'm just happy I already ate dinner. So,
Brad, can I ask you a question? Aren't you the president here of that board?
He is. He loves to speak, so happy to have him.
I know. So,
I think that's plugged in if you're up.
so, are y'all dead set on just buying a new tree? Or do y'all just want a tree there? I'm just asking the question. I know it's y'all's money, but it came from the citizens, and it's going back to the citizens to look at it and admire it and everything. And so, but I'm just asking, could you put the 12-foot tree up and y'all use that money on something else? Maybe another decoration, something special to the park board or something. I don't know.
I personally, the vote was, it was unanimous,
Okay.
but I stated that I wasn't going to vote for it unless everybody else voted for it.
Okay.
I am not
But if
for
you change it now, are you going to have to go back to your board now?
Well, I don't think anybody was adamant about the tree. The discussion more was along the lines of should we spend the money or not, and
Right.
everybody kind of was like, well, okay. I don't think there was anybody that was like, we have to spend this money. This is a good use of the money, and this is how we're determined
like
to
to do
spend it.
Well, did they know that we have another tree, a 12-foot tree that could be used?
That was not mentioned
No, and of course,
in the meeting.
it's probably 15 years old or more, so we would have to mean, it's not going to be as elegant. I don't want them to.
I understand that.
I mean, it's.
It's actually closer to 19. When we first opened up the rec center, that was the first tree we bought down
So have you looked at the tree lately? Is it usable?
It's getting really weathered. I mean,
It's getting really weathered?
It has. It's not really
Okay.
pretty.
Okay. I mean, it's y'all are the ones that make the decision, and I understand that. I was just trying to, I don't know, make it better or something.
I don't think there would be any hurt feelings on the board, however you guys decide on it. I would interject that if we're not able to get a tree here in time for Christmas anyway, then I wouldn't see any issue with tabling it and then come up with something
else.
that gives us 12 months
Next year.
to figure it out and possibly get an even bigger discount.
Well, I don't want to hurt
order it
anybody's
in
feelings or
March or
anything.
April.
I don't want anybody on the board being mad.
Brack can handle that.
So maybe there's something we can do. Maybe we should just look at it. See, a paint of coat hides a multitude of sin. Maybe we can get some more ribbon and put around that tree or something, make it look better, good enough for them.
All right, so are we ready to table this? Is that what the will of council? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's what I think, that's not.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I will entertain a motion then.
Mayor, make a motion that we table this until we can further discuss.
Table D.
Table D.
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 Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Take a second. Let's vote. There you go. Thank y'all. Here to E, action regarding approval of interlocal agreement with Tarrant County for construction of an earthen berm at Hilo Station Park. Again, Randy Newsom.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This item is for the construction of a berm to shield the apartments over at Highland Station Park. The county has agreed to build the berm. We were looking at quite possibly having to purchase the dirt to build it, but in talking with the contractor today that is working on Knowles, they're going to have a surplus of dirt left over, so we're going to utilize that dirt to start the construction of the mountain. Now, we will have to buy not a whole tremendous amount of dirt, but we can take that out of the park maintenance funds when we start to put the finished dirt on top of the berm. But it looks like the dirt's going to be free.
All right.
All right, questions on E, council?
So I have a question from Cindy. Do you know about what the estimated cost for this project will be?
Since the dirt's free, the county work's free, equipment's free. It's really going to be, the only thing we will have is to purchase some trees when we finish up on top.
That's good. And you said okay. Will this resolve the issue? Okay.
I asked and got a preliminary picture of where it was going to go, and I think outside of blowing up those apartments, this is our absolute best option to resolve this. And I've talked to a lot of my neighbors because I live over there. Yeah. I think that they feel this is an acceptable approach. It's actually, I looked at it, comes all the way across through there, right against the tennis courts and stuff. And then when you plant the trees on top of it,
they grow
it'll even get better.
It's got to help.
Yeah, it's going to help.
Oh, I know. Well, she just asked me to ask him.
No, that's maybe our best solution. Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other questions on E? All right, moving down to J. Action regarding aquatic center repairs and renovations. Keith Reinhardt.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I believe it was back in April when we came to you before with repairs that needed to be made to the aquatic center. We knew we had a significant amount of damage due to the freeze. We did everything possible to try and get our aquatic facility open to the public. We also said at that time that there's also some unknown. Once we open and turn the valves on, we're not going to know until that happens. And the scope's changed a little bit where we did find some more damage. There were some warranty items that we wanted to make sure got taken care of before we issued a check. And this is the remaining amount that is owed is $80,608.71.
Council questions on E?
I have a question from Cindy, two of them. Is any of the repair work covered by the warranty?
No. The warranty is taken, well, is any of the repair work being taken care of by the warranty?
I guess.
No. The one of the items, which is the resurfacing of the pool, originally wasn't paid because of issues. For lack of a better term, they're called spider cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought they would go away. They didn't go away. Our only option was to have us drain the pool, not let anybody back in the pool until we take care of it at that point, or we get through the season, which we did. And when the season was over, they're taking care of it, I believe, next week.
Okay. And then she wanted to know, did we sign any sort of agreement for less quality repair to open the pool?
I didn't.
She said, did we sign any sort of agreement for less quality repair to open the pool? Because I think what she's saying is we tried to get it open to make sure it was open for the season. Was there anything signed saying that that the quality was less than it should have been when it was repaired?
There was we never accept anything of less quality. I don't think anybody would do that. If they did, they should be sitting on the apartments that Councilmember Lawson wants to blow up, I guess, but I'm kidding.
I got you.
No, we would never accept anything of less quality just to get it open, because that puts the risk of our residents, it's their safety at risk, and we would never, ever do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions on, that's J?
No.
All right, if not, I will entertain a motion. We still have not voted on B, C, E, and J.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve B, C, D, and G.
No, E.
No.
E and J.
No, E we're tabling, right? No.
D.
no.
D.
We already voted on D.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for B,
C,
C,
E,
D,
E,
E.
not D.
D got tabled.
Oh, this one's tabled. Okay.
E's tabled.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, B, C, E, and J. I make a motion to approve as presented.
Paul will second. Please vote.
Wait, he ain't got it up there.
It's not ready yet.
All right, thank you, guys.
Good job.
Phew, had to fight through that. All right.
I know.
Moving forward. So this is a big, exciting evening for us. We are thrilled and blessed, and it's just a privilege to have some special guests here tonight. They've been here for several days from our sister city. A couple things. We've got some things to give them, but I want Gabe just to give a quick background on the sister city program and sort of how we got here.
Like to come up front just in case my mother's watching. She probably is. Hello, Mother. So a little background on Sister City International. Yeah, she's back of my
Yeah,
head.
she's back there. So I need to wave to her back there.
So a little bit of background about the Sister Cities program. It was created by President Eisenhower in 1956, so 11 years before, the world suffered through World War II. And President Eisenhower's idea was to encourage cultural exchanges and diplomacy on a citizen-to-citizen level. So cities all across the country and world choose to become partners just to be friends. And each program is up to each city that participates. So, in a big city like Fort Worth, they have 8 sister cities. Some of those cities are very large, and there may be trade delegations or manufacturing relocations, what have you. Some cities are small. When I worked in Denison, the city had a sister city relationship with Cognac, France, which is where Cognac, the drink, has been made for 1,000 years. So each city can choose to do whatever they'd like with their sister city. So Abdoulaye Jarju, you'll recall one council member called him AJ1 and AJ2. So both AJs are here, Abdoulaye and Ayub, is a native of Gambia, and since a naturalized U.S. citizen, had this idea to create a sister city program here in Saginaw. You might recall, this is probably 3 years ago, we talked about having a sister city program in Myanmar. Unfortunately, we couldn't move forward. There was a very tragic coup in Myanmar, and the military has taken democracy from the people and is running the country. But I'm happy to have welcomed our friends from our sister city of Banjul, which is the capital of the Gambia. For those like me that got C's and D's in school, Gambia is in West Africa, so it's right by Senegal. It's surrounded by Senegal, much in the same way that Saginaw is surrounded by Fort Worth. So in the past week, we'll introduce our friends. We've found that we have a lot of similarities, even though we're separated by an ocean and thousands of miles. So we look forward to potentially visiting the Gambia with a delegation from Saginaw in the future. You saw some of the activities at Train and Grain, traditional dancing. We had food this evening, and we've just been like exhausted the past week touring everything. So I want to recognize TCC, Dr. Blankenbaker. We had a marathon tour of TCC. Thank you so much. It was amazing. At the Northwest Campus and the Technology and Aviation Center up at Alliance Airport. So we hope to be friends for a very long time. My only disappointment in the delegation's visit is that Abdoulaye, I was hoping he would dance, and the extent of the dance I saw at Train and Grain was like this. Very unimpressive. So with that, I'd like to introduce our delegation. This is Mamu Toure. He's a city council member. Bababu Cham is also a city council member from Banjul. Bintu SM Jaite is a council member. And the assistant to the mayor, Binta Kante. So Mayor Rohe Malik Lowe is extremely popular in the Gambia. She could not join us, although she had planned to be here, because she's on a council where she has been, she's a leader for locally elected female mayors. She's one of the few, if not maybe the only, female mayors in Africa. So she's the president of this council. So she was in South Korea during Train and Grain and couldn't join it with us. So with that, I'll yield to Mamu. I think he may have some comments, and I just want to express my thanks to our friends. Look forward to visiting at some point in the future, and this is a beautiful world we live in, and we have so much in common.
Greetings to everyone, Lord Mayor, councillors, and great citizens of Sagunai. Definitely, it was really an honor to be here today, and definitely I feel so sad that we will be leaving next tomorrow. We have had a lot of great things here, and definitely we have met one of the most greatest people that we have ever met since our career in politics. Definitely, Sagunai is a very beautiful city, and with a lot of great and amazing things that we have learned here today. And I believe my colleagues and I will go back and share the little idea and knowledge that we have. As I rightly says, your Lordship has already accepted and honored our invitation by coming to the Gambia. And I hope to see you all there too, so that you'll be able to also to see what Gambia is, because it's part of one of the smallest countries in West Africa, but it is always called the smiling coast of West Africa. And very peaceful and very, very, very much, you understand, rich cultured, because that's what I have also seen here in Texas. Texas is a city that really loved to maintain their culture and heritage. And as I said, when I came here and spend 1 or 2 days, I told him that, I mean, we have a lot of things in common. And definitely, we're really looking forward and hopefully to see you back in the Gambia. Sending a special greetings and hi to from all the people of Banjul and also to the Lord Mayors of Banjul. And he made mention that she will be here soon, with shortest time of she will be here coming to Sagunai to also, you understand, familiarize herself, because she was not able to make it. Because as we all know, she is the president of all the elected female representatives in West Africa. So he had a huge responsibility that he had at North Korea. That was the reason why she was not be able to hear. So she will be here very soon. So on that note, I would like to say thank you to all, and definitely Sagunai, Texas is a very great city. We are so happy to be here, and we are very much proud to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I have a very special proclamation to mark this occasion, and I will read it. If you'll bear with me, I will read it in full. City of Saginaw, proclaiming October 18th, 2022 as Banjul Day in the city of Saginaw, Texas. Whereas the city of Saginaw, Texas, United States of America, and the city of Banjul, Republic of the Gambia, established their relationship as sister cities to strengthen the ties of goodwill and friendship between two cities and between the people of the United States of America and the Republic of the Gambia in 2021 through Sister Cities International. Whereas Saginaw and Banjul are vibrant cities committed to providing opportunities and a high standard of living for all. Whereas we intend to remain friends and partners to promote peace, progress, prosperity, and a better world. Whereas though we missed Lord Mayor Lowe, we are honored to have hosted and celebrated the presence of Banjul Council Member Mahmoud Toure, Banjul Council Member Bintu Jaye, Banjul Council Member Papabu Cham, and Banjul Assistant to the Mayor Binta Conte from October 13th to October 20th. Therefore, I, Todd Flippo, Mayor of Saginaw, Texas, the United States, do hereby officially proclaim October 18th, 2022 as Banjul Day in the city of Saginaw. May the warmth of our friendship grow with the passage of time. May peace be upon our cities now and always, and may lives be changed for the better by our commitment to our people, whom remains in the privilege to serve. We want to get down here. I'll come around. We want everybody in the picture. Can we get everybody in the picture? Council and council.
Trying to get this.
They want you in the picture.
They want us to
come over here. Yeah, we'll stand up. We need the mayor down here. Mary? Oh, you can see you, Mary.
Yeah.
She's right here.
I'm in between.
Can we see everybody in the proclamation? 1, 2, 3.
You're forever immortalized on film.
Cheese. Councilmember Tucker, can you move a little bit this way, please?
You can't see Mary either.
Cheese.
That's called a Kodak moment.
I really want to thank Gabe and Abdullah for putting a lot of work on this, hosting the folks, and setting this all up. It was a big endeavor, but it worked out fantastic. And the training ground was wonderful as well. So, moving forward, I'm going to call a short audible. We're going to move item number 14 to the next item because we've got folks on the call that need to move. So, item 14, and there he is. So 14 is consideration action regarding a contract with On Point Insights to conduct the citywide customer satisfaction survey. For that, Pedro Zambrano, Communications Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just give me a few seconds while I just prepare myself, because technology is one of the greatest tools that drives us crazy at times. Okay, and so as you recall, the last council meeting, I brought forth the first generation or first version of our city survey, part of the work plan. And as always, we had a good brainstorming session, and I learned a lot with the goals of the council was, and I brought it back and created a second version. But the first council meeting in October was canceled. So during that time, from that council meeting to today, some of our council members and some of our staff went to attend the TML conference. At the TML conference, we got to meet this gentleman here. His name is Ron, and he's actually on the line as well. That's why we are here. So I'm just going to really quickly, if I could get my... So one of the biggest things, the takeaways from this company is that they will do the whole work for us. At this time, I was just going to do it all by myself, and I was just going to give you a nice little binder with all the presentations and with all the data. Ron's company, what he provides is a nice little dashboard where you could click and you could learn and even go down to the demographics of each question. So if we were to move forward with this contract, we will team up with Ron and give him all the suggestions you gave me regarding the questions, and we will build this survey together, and we will again bring it back to council to review it. And then we will release the survey, and we will go ahead and get that going. He will reach the people out using so we have STW with our water bills. He will be using their email addresses and the phone numbers on the record. We'll also be using QR codes throughout the city. And if need be as well, send out postcards to those citizens who may or may not use those that technology. So if you have any questions, Ron is on the line. Let me just put him back up here. There's Ron, and that's why I have the camera here. So we can definitely...
Hey, Ron. Can you hear us? We can't hear you, though.
Hear
Hold
Ron.
on.
One of the greatest things. Ron, can you hear us?
I hear you well.
Okay.
Right.
Can y'all hear him?
We can. Can you turn it up any?
That is the highest I could go.
Okay.
But I can speak up.
Please.
So any questions from the council?
Cindy has a question. Is the council going to be able to review the questions and be able to recommend questions before going live?
Yeah, so Ron and I are going to get Ron and I are going to get together, and then we're going to come to the council to present that. That's actually, there's a timeline on page 18 on the presentation that shows just that.
Ron, you want to give us a quick once-over for what you can offer us? This is your elevator speech.
You bet. Just a really quick, can you hear me well?
Barely. We can hear you, but not really well.
I'll show you.
Excellent.
So on the Capel, Texas website, if you go there today, you will see a link to a citizen survey. I presented it to their city council last week. And can I share my screen? Is that okay? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to, Ron.
Let me share my screen. A picture is worth 1,000 words. And so I would like to show a picture here. So this is the Capel City website. They put this up about 3 days ago with the results of their citizen survey. And if you want, you could go to Capel and see it right now. In Capel, we got almost 2,000 people participating in the survey. It explains how we contacted them. So if you click, you can go see the results. I'm going to just show it to you. This is the Capel. This is not the way I wanted to show it. Let me see. I'm going to go here. Okay, this is the Capel dashboard. It'll be a little bit slower because we're sharing our screens here. But the dashboard comes up. On the left-hand side, you can easily navigate through and find any question. With my first city that I did, they had probably a 20-minute survey. And the report they got was about a 125-page report when they were done. This dashboard has far more than you would get on a 125-page report, but it's vastly simpler to get there. For example, if you want to know the direction of the city, it's very easy to see how things have changed, if we're going the right direction or the wrong direction, and how it compares to other cities. This is Capel. But you can also do it by people who have lived in the city recently. So these are people who've been in the city for 4 years or less, who are much happier than maybe the people who have been there longer, right? But it gives you the power to easily sort through and navigate through data and to slice it by different groups. In their case, they have a lot of Asians in Capel, and it's very easy to click and see if the Asian population differs from the other populations, and they're actually happier than, say, the other populations. Frankly, the Asians and the blacks and the Hispanics are happier overall than the whites are, who are a little bit more negative on things. But it's very easy in their city to navigate through. The survey itself is designed to let you see priorities. As you look at city facilities and events, what's most important? And then how are we doing on the things that are important? What's important in growth and development? And you can see the important things on growth and development. Ensuring the maintenance of the public infrastructure is very important, but they're doing quite well. Attracting new restaurant business is the third in importance on this page, and they have a lot of room to improve. So it's very easy to see importance and performance for the city. And finally, you can look at all of the things that are important in the city. This is the top 20 out of about 50 items. What's most important and where are the areas where there's citizen desire to make some improvements. And I won't go further now. Maybe I'll pause here because there's a lot more in this questionnaire, but I'll pause here and just make sure that I'm not jumping too far ahead of you and that I answer your question.
Yeah, council questions for Ron?
So what does this get us if, say, we let you do it and you just use an off-the-shelf like SurveyMonkey?
It would. That's like a very twofold question because one, it's a twofold answer. Sorry.
Okay.
It'll free up my time, and you'll be able to get a little more, squeeze more out of me because this wouldn't be on my table. A survey is very tax consuming, and I do have some other things I'm planning to do this fiscal year. And two, Ron has been in the business way longer than I've been in school, and sorry, Ron, since I've been born. He worked for Coca-Cola and other companies that he's done surveys for executives. So he has the experience. I'm just a good grad student who graduated, who done surveys for grad school, other than Ron, who's a professional who's been doing it for years.
So I was one of the ones that pushed for this survey and, and asked for it. And I want to make perfectly clear that my envision of the survey was literally how we're doing, each one of our departments are doing from a service standpoint. Police, fire, public works, with their interaction with the citizens. Not another survey that asks them what they want. I mean, we paid Kimley Horn a fortune to go off and figure that out. We've got a long-term plan that we approved earlier this year for that. We just need to execute to that. This year was really to try to figure out, we think we're doing a good job. I hear we're doing a good job, but this is to actually say, Public Works, to ask the citizens, how is Public Works doing? Come up with those critical parameters to hit. And if you notice, when I replied back to you, that's the way I divided my recommendation back, was on that.
The great thing is when we team up with Ron, the recommendations from council, that's how we're going to tailor our survey. He showed you Capel's, he showed us Keller's and some other cities, and they were designed. It's not like a template he gets and puts it on there. Is that correct, Ron? Oh, sorry, he's up there.
There's a framework that is very thorough, and then there's a lot of flexibility within it.
Yeah, I spent about 40 minutes with Ron at TML, was very impressed with this, went through the data, looked at the dashboard for Marco Island, which you can go to their website and see the information. But in addition to that, a representative from the city of Lago Vista was there, and they were so impressed with the way he performed and the way the survey was that they've actually hired him to do a employee survey now for their staff. So it's confidential and getting some information. But the information was very thorough, and it was easy, really super easy to navigate and extract information that's going to be useful to us.
So do you do any statistical analysis on the data when you do it and reply back to us on recommended areas of improvement, things like that? Is that part of this?
Yeah, that's pretty foundational to what I do, yes.
Because, I mean, this survey is useless unless we don't use it to affect change, right? It isn't trying to figure out, we're doing bad. It's to actually look for opportunities for improvement and then execute to those, right? So I would expect out of each one of these that after we do the survey, we come up with areas, and then we would work with people to say, okay, this is an area, say that you got 2.0 out of a 5. We probably come up with some recommendations how, and then you implement those, and then you go back and retake another measurement.
That's exactly the ideal design and the way it would flow, and that's how we're doing it with other cities.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not get a chance to visit with Ron at TML, but talking to Cindy and Paul, they were very impressed. And so I'm all for bringing in outside experts to help us do it better. If we're going to spend the money, we might as well do the best and get the best possible data we can. And I think getting a professional is always a good idea. Somebody that has done it a lot for many other cities and knows the pitfalls and the pluses and minuses. So I'm all for that, to get Ron involved in his company.
So you've looked at this, and I mean, it's going to free up a lot of your time. It'll help us be able to turn this faster.
So Ron was actually able to come visit us at City Hall and spoke with myself, Lee, and Keith, and it's a product that we definitely recommend. That's what was typed up on the thing, on the agenda item. I would use this to segue to pricing. Currently, we are budgeted at $12,000 for this survey. And there are 3 options that we could take to hire Ron's company. The one time is $15,950, and that's only one survey. The second option is a 2-year commitment, and it's $12,450 per year, and that's 2 surveys, 1 each year. And the third option is a 3-year commitment, and that's 3 surveys, and each survey is $9,950. And whichever option we take, if it's above the $12,000 that's currently budgeted, we will go from the fund balance as per. I talked to Kim.
After we do the survey and we analyze the data, do we feel that we would have enough runway to implement the change and within 1 year be able to measure and show a measurable difference, or should it be every other year?
And that's a hard question. That probably depends on what the change would be.
Yeah, right.
And we have no idea what it could be. It could be something huge or something small, so that would probably impact your timeline.
Yeah.
I can speak to that for other cities I've worked with. As you know, it's changing a city's like moving the Titanic, right? I mean, things don't move real fast. But some problems are merely gaps in communication. You look at the results and you say they don't understand, and that must be the case. And so I'm working with 2 cities who are working quite well on a communications plan for the things that are doing quite well, and the citizens just don't understand. But there are many other things that they're going to change and do differently, but they want to communicate that and let citizens know that they're listening and that they hear what is going on, and the perspectives. So it's quite powerful, and you can use it to affect change, and you can also and change yourselves, right? So it can do multiple things well, and that's why the multi-year commitment, it's good for me because I have a client who we do business together, and I don't have to go find the next city, right? But it's also good for you because you can have just a constant or repeatable knowledge about how things are proceeding. It works wonderfully well. Also, if there are other topics that you want to explore, I give them to you for a substantial discount. Because if you say, well, we've already done this, but we would like to explore something about parks and recreation or something specific to some other area, like, of course you get a better deal because we've got that relationship.
So what you're saying is that every 12 months we'd have to do it progressively?
We could.
We
We'd have that option.
Okay.
We don't have
Yeah.
to, right? We would have that option.
I mean, if we did the
Also,
3 years, we'd save
in
money
the
long
contract,
run.
I have it clear that if you're unhappy after year 1, like, I don't charge you more. Like if you don't want to continue, you don't have to continue for the 3 years, but we do sign a 3-year commitment or a 2-year commitment if you'd like.
That's fair.
To secure a price.
One of the things is we're going to have a lot of growth in the city over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
With the Hedgewick, the Belt Mill, and all these other projects. So it's good to get the input from our new residents that we're going to have as well. So I'd be in favor of doing the 3-year commitment for this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but was I saying, do we have to do it exactly every 12 months?
No.
Okay.
No, there's flexibility. And as long as you, like, I want to do what's right for you, and as well as have something stable for my own business. So we'll just work together.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
I
Sounds good to me.
think, yeah, what the mayor was saying is we would have to do the first survey, evaluate the results, figure out what what we need to change to affect change, and then you could say, okay, it's going to take this long, and then you'd want to implement that, give it enough time for it to become institutionalized, then retake it to see if you got the results.
That makes sense.
We might find information from the first survey or something else we want to ask that we didn't ask the first.
That's right.
Who knows? I think the flexibility that Ron mentioned is a key part of this.
Yeah, I lean more with Paul. Definitely, absolutely minimum you have to do 2 years. If you just do 1 year, you're not having loop back. So I could see doing the 3 years if we're going this direction. Yeah, overall it would be. Yeah.
Mary?
I just wanted to make sure I understand correctly that if we did the 2 or 3 year commitment, those would not be just the same questions asked. They would be different types of questions, or would they be exactly the same?
They should be close
just
to the
same. Just to clarify, many of the questions will be the same because you want to track change. But there's a lot of flexibility about making additional questions, making some changes. And it'll be, when we get the design to you, it'll be obvious what you want to keep and not change, and where we can maybe move things around and ask new questions. But it's rather flexible that way.
And I do like the fact that you get some in-depth input. It's not just a yes or no. You get some reasoning behind the answers.
Yeah, if we took the time, you would love it even more. I mean, it really is a good design.
Yeah.
In the,
You need, when you're doing surveys like this, you need to be very careful and spend a lot of upfront to make sure you get the questions, because really what you want to do, again, is you want to get those first questions, figure out where your weaknesses are, make the change, and then measure against that change. So you can add questions, you can delete, but you really want the overall heart of the survey to stay the same.
Yeah.
Or you're comparing apples and oranges.
Yeah. And sometimes just a second survey done, a quick dive on some other topic is more useful than adding more and more to the core survey for your citizens.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Council, other questions?
Paul, you for this?
All right, I do have a request from a citizen to speak on this item. Kelly? Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, any other questions for either Ron or Pedro? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor?
Mayor, go ahead.
Make a motion that we do a 3-year agreement with OnPoint Insight to do our survey.
I'll second.
Other second? Cast your votes, please.
Oh, I pushed mine.
Motion passes. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Paul and Cindy, for bringing this to our attention. All right, so back to our regularly scheduled session. Apologies for the switching around. We're on 6. Hey, item 6 is a good one. Award recognition from Texas Municipal League Excellence in Management Innovation and Texas Municipal League Excellence in Communication Award. And it says me. You have something to say, Gabe? You want me to just launch into it?
Calm down.
So, Mayor and Council, proud to announce that we've won, not one, but 2 Texas Municipal League Excellence Awards. So, we also won an award last year, if you might recall. I told people at the TML conference I might just retire and go out on top. But one of our awards is in the communication category. That was for our Garage Gab program. So, in the past 2 years, we've held almost about 30 neighborhood visits where we go directly to neighborhoods and meet with people right in their garages or on their streets. So just a show of hands, who has attended or participated in a Garage Gab? Everybody. It's been a lot of fun. Got the idea, oddly enough, I was talking with some folks on Trinity Trail. I forget about what the issue was, and all the neighbors came at night, and so we talked until it was dark, and then we started doing this time after time, and lo and behold, we won an award. For those who were at the Texas Municipal League, it's a bit like being a state champion. So people were patting me on the back, like, good job, and I'm thinking, who are you? But so with my physique, I have no athletic ability like somebody like Keith, who is a college athlete, so I'm not used to this sort of attention, but just amazing. Like to think this is a city award we can all be proud of, and thank all of our employees who have participated in the Garage Gabs, and that's something that we'll continue to do. I think it's kind of an expectation. The other award we won was in the Management Innovations category for our Student Apprentice program. So if you'll recall, we have students who work the summer with us throughout various departments, and the goal is to get some work out of them, of course, but also they could learn about public service. I want to recognize these people that worked on the program. Kevin Pantoja, he no longer works in Saginaw. He actually moved back home to Abilene, but he kind of led this program, so he's with us this evening. Happy to see Kevin again. He's doing really well. John Cervantes, he's since gone on to the city of Mesquite. I'll no longer talk to the city manager of Mesquite. No, great opportunity for him. James Crippen, Jason England, Brianna Farley, Salvador Gonzalez, Kelly Henderson, Ayub Kahondaguro, Kayleen McDonald, Melanie McManus, Abid Rajwani, Glenn Reeves, Ellen Ritchie, Tyler Stanley, Vicky Weldon, Jose Whelan, Vicky Vega, Pedro Zambrano, and Jerry Young, who is another management analyst. He's since moved on to Capel. Again, I don't have much love for the people at Capel. I do love Jerry. He did a great job for us. But I want to recognize these people. So the apprentice program, we got the students. Some of them were high school students. Some of them were college students. We paired them up kind of with a mentor. These were the mentors in our city. And then we had lunch every so often to see how their summers were going. So we're going into year 3, which would be next summer. And I think we have a couple folks that are going to return for a year 3. So again, tremendously proud. Thank you to everybody who's worked on it, and those awards are really heavy.
Gabe, I have a question. I also heard at TML that our awesome city was nominated for a 3rd award.
Thank you for reminding me.
And for the City Spirit Award for the Building Improvement Grant.
That's right. That's correct. Thank you for reminding me. We were nominated for the City Spirit Award for the Building Improvement Grant Program, which we're going on we're in year 3. We started that in 2019. Blessings and peace to the fine people of Carthage, Texas. I believe they won that category. We should have won, obviously, but I'd also feel sort of bad that we took 3 awards, so kind of sweep it. But yes.
Yeah, but that's pretty prestigious.
No, it was great, and everybody there, Paul could tell you. I mean, literally, people were coming up, shaking my hand, like, "Who are you?" Great feeling. Again, this is no one person's award. It's something we can all be proud of.
Get on the elevator at the hotel and people were just like, "Congratulations!"
Yeah,
and a lot
it was
of people
great.
Asking questions about what we did and how we did it. So
that's all right.
Yep.
People are going to steal our ideas.
Sure.
100% are.
Yeah.
We're going to steal some of the other ideas too,
Yep.
because there was some very
there you
unique
go.
stuff from others that won awards.
Yep.
Well, I think we need to thank you to Keith also
Sure.
for doing that with the grants.
Yeah.
He does a good job with that.
Yeah,
Y'all
so
did awesome.
If you want to take a picture, I might invite everybody.
Well, I want to say a
participate.
couple of things, 'cause this is a big deal. Do we know before last year when the last time the city won an award, a TML award?
I don't think the city ever won a TML award.
See, I didn't think so. I know not in my tenure, and it's been way too long.
Yep.
So this is a huge deal. Last year and then this year is just spectacular. It was amazing. It's great work from our staff. I mean, these programs are staff originated. The council supports them, of course, but this comes from the idea of the staff. A lot credit goes to Gabe, 100%. Garage Gab was his brainchild, and it's brilliant. People were asking me about it, like, what is that? That sounds really cool. Tarrant County Mayor's Council, they were asking me about it. At TML, they were asking about it. So it is a big win. It's a great communication tool for our residents. It's a great show of transparency. And think about it. Up here at the dais like this, we're not very approachable. I mean, people can't walk into a council meeting and say, "Hey, what about this?" At a Garage Gab, they can't. They're standing right next to you. You're in their front yard. So it's a neat way to do things. It really is, and it's brilliant. I'm glad we won. Selfishly, I'm really glad we won. I cheered and whooped. They told us not to, but I did. Walter from Lake Worth gave me a hard time for jumping up and down, but that's okay. Saginaw's worth it. So we're very proud as a city to do this, and I want to thank Gabe and his staff for their excellent work on this. So, yeah. Here. You want to take pictures?
Yeah.
Pictures.
Take a quick picture.
What do you want to take a picture of? The awards, us holding the awards?
Yeah,
What do you
let's
want
just
to
get
do?
everybody that's participated, and we can all stand up. That might be everybody. I don't know.
The council stand back here, or we're going to get down there? What do you want to stand?
What works?
You hear that? Be careful.
Okay.
Be careful, yeah. I didn't want to hold those things. I was better than drop it.
cheese.
Say winner.
Thank you.
Where are we going to put those games?
Okay. It must be getting cold outside because my hands are freezing.
So I'm really happy to have those awards. Also happy to have some alumni, some Saginaw Texas alumni coming back to see these awards. So that's really a neat deal. Thanks to everybody. All right, moving forward. Item number 7, consideration action regarding recommendations from Planning and Zoning Commission regarding a site plan for senior living at Saginaw Phase 3, and that is, that you, Randy, who is it? Oh, it's Susan.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So before you have a site plan for senior living phase 3. So this property is adjacent to the fire station, and the adjacent properties that they have already developed are senior living at Saginaw and the Lodge. So this is their last phase in that block, and we have Anand Patel today in case y'all have any questions. So Anand.
Introduce yourself, please.
Yep. Andy Patel with Journey Capital. I'm the developer for the Addition Senior Living Phase 1 cottages, the Phase 2 assisted living and memory care, and then now the Phase 3 of the cottages.
Okay. Council, what questions do you have for Andy? When I looked at the site plan, it looks fine. I know we've talked about this project for a while, and it's coming, so we're happy. I know folks. You know, it's one of the feedback we've gotten years ago was from folks wanting more senior living in Saginaw. Literally, they don't want grandma to leave. Here all her whole life, they want her to stay here close to the kids. So it's a good thing to get these going. We've got several of those projects now that offer some options for our folks. So I'm happy to have this, and I think it's a good spot for it too. But council, questions?
Have y'all filled up the first edition over there yet?
We are about 75% full. And we have most of them, as of late, they've been coming in from out of state because their kids live here in Saginaw, Ohio, Utah, Florida, Denver, everywhere from that.
Got a question because this came up about the ILT. This has a double fence with like a 1-foot gap between it. And the concern people had over there was rodents and things being able to run in between there. Is there a way we can just do one fence and be done with it?
I would love to do that. I think we'd have to get every individual homeowner's permission and kind of onboarding for them to get that on site. Right now we have an 8-foot fence on our side, and that kind of towers over their fence that they have. But yeah, you're right. We have like a 1-foot gap or 6-inch gap.
Because you can't maintain it. You're not going to be able to get in between there.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, unfortunately, our ordinances sort of demand that, doesn't it?
That's
It's a budding residential area. We do require it.
Yeah, so it's our fault. It's not the developer's
But I mean, we
fault.
could put, if the residents agree to it, we could just do one common 8-foot fence and be done with it, correct?
I think that would require a variance if we did that. But
It is possible, but then it becomes whose responsibility.
Yeah.
When homeowners tear it up, we're gonna call this gentleman. Or it's gonna be vice versa, but it can be done.
Because, like, I mean, when the trees start growing up in between it, who's going to take care of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And trash is going to get between there. I know because me and the wash terrier get that problem now. So we're working on it though. So yeah,
Yeah,
it is kind of a pain.
We had the same issue in another city that we just finished up a project into. The same type of scenario.
So, I mean, we know we've got an issue. We know we're going to have an issue. We know that there's going to be small trees grow up in there. So, who would be responsible? Cities were the ones creating this issue for the future, kicking the can down the road, so to say. So, how do we fix it?
if nothing else, I mean, you're going to have to spray for weeds. You're going to have some people will spray, some won't. And then you got to ask the question, what are you going to put in there? Are you going to go to Roundup? You know, it may be something that we as a city want to, we can suggest that they use this product or this product. That would at least keep the weed control down.
The solution is to only have one fence.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the solution.
That would be the only other way around it.
And that's what was decided with the Hedgewick project, was to have one common fence.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, what if they have wood fences on the other side, the people do, the citizens, right?
Right.
Could they not just put their wood part up against your fence, run it down the runners, you know, this way? Not put the posts there, use your fence, and then that way that kind of keeps them away from it a little bit.
You're saying reduce the gap, like the foot gap, to as close as possible.
Well, here's your fence, and you got the pretty side looking this way, and you got runners this way. Their fence, they could just put a board up against that, so it just covers their side of the fence. So if a rock hits it, it's not going to knock a hole in your fence, but it will in their part. You could talk to them about that.
And part of the deal is the size of the fence too. Your fence would be 8 feet, right?
Yeah, it
8
is
feet.
8 feet.
And the ones would be taller than the existing fence,
Yes.
probably.
Yeah.
But the residents may, I mean, if you ask the residents, they may all agree to just have a common 8-foot fence and be done with it. 'Cause I wouldn't want the rodents and rats and everything else that are going
That's
to
what we
run
want
through
to
there
do.
in my yard.
No. Yeah, that wouldn't work.
It's just a thought.
Randy, you got any ideas what we can do with
Bryn
this?
has something. Bryn has that look.
Randy always has an idea.
Bryn has that look over there.
I've seen the, like at school, they pour concrete weed barrier curb. I mean, you could do that where the weeds don't grow up.
I see.
Yeah, you could do
That's
that.
about it.
You have something you want?
I was just going to add, I mean, if the fence is being erected because of our ordinance and the variance process, again, I haven't looked at it, but if the variance process requires the support of the neighbors, we can amend that provision to just simply say that the council can waive that requirement. I don't know what the expectation of the neighbors will be. And then as far as the liability for high weeds and grass, that rests with whoever the fee title owner of that strip might be. So even if it's difficult to access, it's still going to be the responsibility of the owner of that strip to maintain.
Which would be this developer,
I assume so.
This gentleman, yeah.
Right.
Well, let me ask this question. Is that an HOA that we're dealing with in those homes? And if it is, then what are they going to say about it?
Is that an HOA over there?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
It is.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
what Doug just said it was. Yeah.
It is? Well, see, they may have a say-so in some of this.
Maybe we should reach out to the HOA and ask them how they would like to proceed. Can we
Mr.
go ahead
Spears,
and approve
what is
this
your
with
thought
an
on it?
open action item, or make an amendment that we look back around on the fence?
We can go ahead and approve this, and in fact, we probably required to, obviously, but if the developer is interested in avoiding the responsibility of putting in the fence, we can certainly put something in writing confirming that it's not necessary if we're able to talk, or if we need to move it, or what have you, or amend our ordinance. We can always provide something in writing confirming that it's not required after the fact.
Okay. Would council be okay with that? Is
Yeah.
that a good plan,
Well,
council?
they've been good neighbors.
Yeah. I agree completely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our fault they're having to do this.
I know.
Yeah,
I
so.
know.
Doug's about to say something, I think. I can see it.
In that case, we would still need to get the HOAs, legally binding that someone's going to take care of it amongst themselves.
So, well,
If they were to take the fence off,
Shouldn't you be up at the
someone
mic?
would still need to be responsible for it.
someone's always going to have to be responsible for that area.
Settle that amongst themselves, correct?
That's right. And I just want to point out, Chief Spears mentioned to me, because I don't know the location, but evidently there's an 8-foot fence running on either side of the property, so if there's suddenly a gap, it'll be a visual inconsistency.
Okay.
So then we can approve this plan contingent on fence discussions? How should we phrase our motion?
I would just approve the site plan as is. We're going to be required to do so. And then it doesn't have to be part of the motion, but we can continue conversations.
Okay.
Okay.
That sound good, council? Any other questions for this gentleman? Then I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the recommendation for planning and zoning for the site plan for the senior living phase 3 as presented.
Charlie, second. Cast your votes, please. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you working with us. All right, item 8, consideration action regarding recommendation from Planning and Zoning Commission regarding preliminary plat for Victory Shops Saginaw, Tract 1 and 2, 76.61 acres out of the J. Walker survey. Who's this?
Myself as
Oh,
well.
it's Susie again. Sorry, I'm looking down.
Surprise. Mr. Mayor and Council, so before y'all have a preliminary plat for the property that was previously known as the Levon White property, just south of Saginaw High School. So this is now owned by Victory Shops Saginaw, and this is going to be a potential mixed-use development. So the preliminary plat is just a preliminary visual of what's going to be on the ground in terms of lots and vice versa. This has gone through the Development Review Committee, and it is in conformance with our ordinances. With that, I have Will Winkleman in case y'all have any questions.
Can we get the plat up on the screen? Do we have it somewhere?
You want mine?
No, I just want to, everybody can see it, so folks in the audience can see it as well.
It is a fairly large plat.
Yeah.
I think it's 9 pages. So we won't be able to just have it on one screen.
Oh, yeah. I looked at it on my iPad, sorry. Yeah, I was just thinking the screen. We could turn that, what can we do? Just so folks will.
It's all of them. So it's all 9 pages, yes. So it is first page, you can landscape it.
Yeah, the first page.
Went through really fast, so y'all just imagine. Use memory.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's about the best we can do. No, that helps. So folks know where this is. This is off 156 and sort of Western Center McElroy. And some things are going to change over there, roads, et cetera. So that's all reflected in this plat. Folks, we have questions for Mr. Winkleman. You want to come up to the podium, please? Introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Will Winkleman. I am working on this project. I'm a civil for the development.
Okay.
I have some minute knowledge of the overall development, but you
Sure.
know, if you're asking me very specific details about that, I might not be able to answer.
Of course, sure. Council questions?
I'm excited something's going to go in there myself.
No, it is. You're right.
I'm happy with the way that McElroy's going to align now with Western Center. It makes a lot more sense. But even more happy that the old Bell helicopter property is going to finally get used for something.
Yep.
That's a different item, but yes, you're excellent.
Yeah, that site specifically isn't on this plat,
Right.
but it is certainly in the works. Victory is involved in that piece also.
Yeah, I was very pleased when I seen the way they was redoing Western Center. I was like, that's really going to help traffic over there.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It does.
it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
So I know concerns on this property before with drainage. I think, can you explain how we're going to overcome the drainage?
So the drainage is going to be a combination of 3 ponds. Okay, so right now, if you can see at the top, right next to the north arrow, there is a kind of a little polygon shape over there. That is an existing pond that the school has that handles their drainage and detention. That pond will now come down south into that other weird polygon that kind of has that L cross-section in it, and that will be a retention pond. Is the plan, which will be a pond that kind of holds detention, but will also hold water. The overall plan will kind of have a water feature through that, maybe some sort of trail system. Right. Again, a lot of the stuff is still pretty concept, but but there will be a pond there. Okay, done. And then we're going to have some big box culverts that carry the storm pipe that's going to come through Western Center, and then kind of in the middle piece of that, what I call the donut, but that southern piece that's kind of broken up into smaller lots is the idea is those are going to be retail lots. Maybe some offices, like some commercial, will be over there, and in the center of that will be a big retention pond that will have more water features in that, and then it will exit that retention pond and it will go towards Blue Mound, where there's an existing TxDOT culvert that's being built as we speak.
Well, is there over here, the other way.
Okay.
Is there a map showing what you explained, the retention ponds on here that I can scroll to?
There isn't on here. We had a master site plan that was kind of being submitted on and off with it, but since the master plan concepts keep, they're trying to find tenants, they're moving stuff around type of thing. Since that wasn't always reflecting the plat, keeping up to date, it was just confusing us and staff and everybody. So we've removed that. But at some point, I don't have it here in this presentation because it was it's not on here. But like I said, there is two lots. Well, not really two lots, but yeah, you can clearly see the lots kind of defined. It was where the ponds will be. If I had a pointer, I'd kind of point. But it's in the middle. Yeah, right there. That shape will be one of the retention ponds. If you kind of go up to the left, past McElroy Boulevard to the north, that shape right there. Again, I don't know what it really looks like. It just kind of comes down and over. There's as of right now, there's going to be a kind of a multifamily to the right behind the retail, and then down to the left, and then that big retention pond will split that multifamily is the plan as of this moment. But those are further phases that will be, multiple documents will come before this committee before that happens.
So you said something that very piqued my interest. Is you said maybe could put some trails and stuff around those retention ponds. Is there any way we could get you all to work with our Parks and Recs and tie that in?
So I'm a little fuzzy on exactly how it works, but I believe there is a trail system that's maybe going to be down Lavon, White, and we're going to come down there on probably on the east side, and that's going to come down from the school down south, and then on the north side of New McElroy, and maybe kind of come around the pond, and then it'll kind of come down into the main shopping center. But yes, trails and stuff, we have been working with staff to certainly try and incorporate that into the plans. But like I said, no guarantees exactly what we're talking about, but multiple site plans and multiple things will come before this council to take care of those things.
Yeah, I mean,
but that has been incorporated in our philosophy since day one.
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to see, if we could, work with our Parks and Recs committee to make sure it's all tied together, the overall plan of the city.
I think Susie has something she wants to add.
Did I say something?
No, you said everything. I just wanted to add to that. So we do have a master trails map within our master parks plan as well. So that does have to be abided by as well during the site plan. The site plan is going to be a separate submission. So this itself is just a preliminary plat, which doesn't include those details, but the site plan is going to come before you at a later time. In regards to some of those drainage questions as well, that'll be settled during the final plat phase. They're going to have to finalize their drainage plan as well, and that has to go through the engineers. And so all of those logistics are going to come forth at a later time, but those trails will be looked at. And then ABRA will also be in those conversations to review those trails as well.
Yeah.
Good deal. Excellent.
Yes.
I like the water features myself.
No, it's a great idea. And I'm also thrilled that we're moving McElroy, but also keeping the name McElroy. Western Center, the Western Company, that means nothing to us. That's from an old company, but McElroy, that family's been around a long time, and they have deep roots in Saginaw. And I'm glad we're going to continue to honor them with a new road. and a cool road.
That'd be
So,
nice.
Yeah. So other questions, council? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the recommendation for planning and zoning for the Victory Shop Saginaw Tracks 1 and 2 out of the Walker Survey Abstract, as presented.
Mary will second. Ladies and gentlemen, cast your votes. All right, thank you guys. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Item number 9, at 7:41, we are in a public hearing. Consideration action regarding ordinance 2022-18, amending the city's drainage utility system schedule of charges. For that, Finance Director Kim Quinn.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. If you recall, we've been talking about this for quite some time now. Throughout the spring and the summer, these fees were approved as part of the budget that you all approved, and this is the final step in changing those drainage charges. We are required by law to go through a series of advertisements, and the public hearing and the vote is the last step to implementing those fee increases.
Council questions for Kim? Questions? This is a public hearing, as I mentioned earlier. Anyone from the audience can speak right now if you so choose. You have to approach, introduce yourself, and go to it. So I will entertain speakers right now. That's what a public hearing means. So, all right, seeing none at 7:42, I'll take us out of a public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the action regarding ordinance number 2022-18, amending the city's drainage utility system schedule of changes.
Okay. Charlie Tucker, second. Cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank you, Kim. All right, nice. Number 10, consideration action regarding recommendation from Advisory Recreation and Parks Board for Saginaw Switch Yard expansion. Randy Newsom, Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is another item that was brought before the Park Board on July 18th. It was tabled. It's a project that we've been discussing. My prior director, Rick Trice, actually started working on this thing. The need to expand the food truck park, it's crowded. I think if anybody's ever been down there on a farmer's market day or even the concert in the park fills up pretty quick. So we started looking into the idea of expanding it. We took this before the park board, like I said. It was tabled to take back and try to reduce the cost of it and change some of the things on it. Laura Presley, again, went back, listened to the park board's desires, and we went back and redid the plan and come back with another idea how to do this thing. Laura, you want to?
Good evening. So, as Randy mentioned, we took a concept to Parks Board, received feedback, updated it, and brought the revised concept to Parks Board. And then I think one of the big concerns is parking. And so Randy has devised a plan with the county to address that separate from this concept. So that's why you don't see parking as an item on the concept.
Keith, can we pull this up to take a look-see?
This is another one of the projects that we wanted to present the park board for the future park bond fund to fund this expansion of this food truck park. I just want to point that out as well. There's some land down there that y'all are very well aware that we just purchased down there just west of the existing parking lot that we built up there on the top of the page there. There's a blanket easement from Atmos that runs across there that prevented us from building that parking lot at the time any bigger than it was. We got word, Rick actually got word that they were abandoning that easement. We went back to Atmos and we're waiting on the final paperwork and stuff from them. So once that easement's abandoned, we can build that parking lot west and build it bigger. So
very nice. Good news.
I think in the original plan that, they'd proposed a parking lot between the existing tennis courts and the existing dog park. But when you take that space there away, you can't, that limits you if you want to expand the tennis courts or expand the dog park. So building the parking lot over on the west side of the existing one is a much better idea than taking up that space there between the tennis courts and the dog park.
Council questions? Mary?
Does anyone have any ideas about how to encourage people to actually use the parking lot instead of the side of the street? I think maybe some people are just driving by and they just see that and they just say, oh, what's that? And then they just park. But, there's a perfectly good parking lot in the back, and it's not a long walk.
It's not a long walk, and
So
that's the.
I don't know how to solve that.
We've got signs down there. I mean, people, they tend to want to park at the closest spot they can get to the food.
Will
It is.
It's really kind of a safety issue.
Will the rework of Knowles solve that problem? Will there be curbing to where they can't park there anymore?
I was about to say that, actually. I lost my voice, I'm sorry. But we'll have curbs there with
And you think that's
phase
gonna
3. Unless you have a big truck, probably,
It'll help. Yeah,
hopefully stop
it'll
them.
help, but yeah. Yeah.
That's a good point, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, that will help. May not fix it, but that will help, certainly. Yeah. Council, other questions?
Okay, so I have one from Cindy. Randy had mentioned, this is Cindy talking. Randy had mentioned that the expansion was $32,000, and now it's up more from that. We need to consider this is not in our budget, and so she wanted to know why we couldn't write out the inflation cost for the park, see what the reaction to the newly imposed fees to the trucks is going to be. And she wanted to know if the ordinance would be submitted with the food truck so that the trucks are limited in the number on site and how long they can stay, and that's not being reinforced or enforced.
I think I can address some of that. So some of you'll recall the council already approved, this is the same principle, intent to reimburse. So if the council approves this tonight, the money would come from our future bond issuance, which would be in 23. Voters have already approved this.
And that's part of the parks, right?
The parks bond, that's
So we're
correct.
spending $300-something on the veterans, whatever veterans, $200-something thousand, $300-something thousand for
Correct.
this. So that's half of what they got. Well, no, it's a fourth.
Yeah,
of
about
what they-
600,000.
And we've
Yeah.
also
What they
approved the
said.
improvements at Highland
At
Station.
Highland
Park,
Station,
too.
yeah.
Highland Station Park playground improvements
Yeah.
are also coming
So
from
that's
that
also
4
in there
million.
too. So
Yeah.
we're eating away at their thing really fast.
Yeah, and part of the timing is inflationary pressures. So if we were to hold off on this and bid it in a year, promise you it's going to be more than what probable cost estimate is now. Some of the other, I think, misunderstanding is the food truck park is there not as a moneymaker. It's not a money-making endeavor. We can't even really recover our costs. It's an amenity. We have those spots there so that people can come and eat, enjoy themselves. Now, when we have concerts in the park, the covered pavilions, I think the big pavilion that's being proposed would allow more vendors, especially on farmers market days, to be undercover. So there was a question that came up, how many do we have on a wait list? We have approximately 20 vendors now. That number grows in the spring and fall when it's cooler, and then when it's super hot in the summer, we have less vendors. But you may have all been to the Christmas market. I mean, we had 100+ vendors, so having more covered space would be advantageous, as well as parking and utility hookups. So,
Also, that pavilion, when the farmer's market isn't there, it can be used, and I'm assuming we would allow that to be rented out for our citizens to use. So that's really so.
I don't know that they rent those out, do y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shaking his head, yes.
Randy said yes.
Yeah.
Do what?
We rent them out.
Y'all do rent them out? Okay. Because once again, we're spending $80,000 on a shed so that we can have a farmer's market, and the citizens don't make anything from that.
but the citizens enjoy coming to it.
They do enjoy it, but they also would like some of their tax dollars back, so.
Well, some would, some cranky people on Facebook would, but normal people enjoy a farmer's market.
They do.
Millennials and dogs flock there and enjoy it and love it and get produce and things.
They do.
And back to the dollars, just so we're clear, this came as a recommendation from the Parks Board. This didn't come from the council. The citizens approved that bond, $4 million bond for parks. We gave that to the Parks Board, Brack and his team, and said, what do you want to spend it on? This came from them. This is their idea. It's not my idea. It came from the Parks Board. So let's look at it that way. We appoint these parks folks, and we normally listen to them. They know what they're doing. So that's the reason for how this sort of flows.
So St. Clair, I know me and you've talked about this, if you want to come up and talk about it. I think this is something you guys have been kind of passionate about, right? To try to get this through for some time.
Quite honestly, I don't know that I can take full credit, but I have been pushing for a third pavilion for 2.5 years. Because when I went to the farmers market, I saw the number of people that were there. It was hugely successful. At the beginning, when the food trucks started coming in, there weren't that many, but it started to grow, and now Saturdays it's full. And everybody that I talk to enjoys going to there. They enjoy the food trucks. They enjoy the market. I think an expansion is needed because that's what the citizens are wanting.
We appreciate your patronage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say that I'm one of the ones that park on the side there that you don't like, because the actual that is one parking lot that actually gets full.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it does get kind of a long walk when you're carrying something heavy, like watermelons, 2 at a time. Yeah.
2 bags
Yeah. Kettle corn don't weigh as much as watermelons, but yes.
But my thing was about that is not only will it be the pavilion be used for the farmers market, the weekdays and things is not there. It's going to be people can rent it out and use it for birthday parties, and they do.
Company picnics,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
And you're right. And in the summer, when it gets so hot, it's nice to have a little more shade. That's a good point. Our vendors don't like putting their wares in the sun. I mean, they will with their tents, but it's nicer if folks can shop in the shade a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a win all the way around.
Yeah.
I wish the cost had come in cheaper, but I don't want to go cheap on something that we're going to end up going, man, we really should have just gotten a quality product and brought it in. These are lasting well, and I think it's a good investment.
This
Mm-hmm.
That's good news.
Guys, I'm saying I've actually followed this through the parks, and they tabled this a couple of times, so they've really dug in, and
Thought about it.
We only had enough to make quorum one of the times, and I did not want this decision to be made by simply a quorum. I wanted a good representation from the Parks Board, and so I encouraged tabling it at one point, just so that we didn't make the decision and it'd be 4 of us that made that decision.
So, any other questions for Brad? Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Any other questions? I do have a public comment. Somebody wants to speak, unless council has other questions. Ms. Stewart?
It's all wonderful. I realize that, but I was one of the people that helped pass the parks bond, and I'm still worried that our little neighborhood parks that need a cover over it so that kids can use it, that y'all are using up our money. And I mean, they can't go to my park from 10 to 2, 3, 2/3 of the year. And the same thing, there's about 4 parks around us that need some things. And I don't think y'all are looking at a lot of that, these little neighborhood parks. They're just, they sit empty, and that's sad, and it's frustrating. So, just keep that in mind, that we all know, unfortunately, $4 million in the parks doesn't go very far. It's just the way it is. But a lot of us were hoping that our little neighborhood parks can be used, and they can't. So please take that in consideration. I don't know what it costs to put those things up. Huh?
They're shades.
The shades over the little equipment. Huh? No. At like
playground equipment.
The playground equipment at Houston Park, at Opal Park, at Bryan's Park, and I think there's 2 more that need those pavilions or those shades put up so kids can use it during the summer. Please, please, please.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I can address the point. Certainly understand the concern. I'll remind the council you have asked us to bring back a park assessment so that we can get a cost for each park in the park system to replace it and improve it to standard. So with $4 million, we're not going to be able to go far system-wide, but that assessment will give us a punch list of things. And the reality is that every playground in the city, minus Willow Creek Station, needs to be replaced based on age, as well as ADA accessibility. So the needs are greater. This will be a council decision in the future. We likely could consider a recreation-only bond in the future, because when the $4 million's gone, we only have so much in our operating budget. So, and we won't be able to tackle bigger things like trails and we've got ADA ramps, lots of concerns. So certainly understand, but to do anything.
Giving us Disney World, and some of us just want our parks to be used.
Oh, I don't think anybody's getting Disney World. I think we're just modernizing and replacing old equipment. We're going to have to do that a little bit at a time.
But I think some of our old equipment can be repaired or brought up a little bit so that we can let it last a little bit longer.
Well, thank
There
you.
is some of it that can be.
Council, other questions? Questions, comments?
I don't remember who mentioned it to me. I've been sitting here trying to think over the last minute, but that thing y'all went to in Austin or TMO, whatever it was, that there was some park people there that would come out and do an assessment, pretty much free of charge. Now, understand it's a company, and of course they've got an invested interest, but I'm thinking we could glean something out of that. I mean, that doesn't hurt anything to invite them up to give us an assessment of I think we got 7 parks, right?
Yeah.
Why not do that? And again, you could actually put the awnings over. I don't see any reason why you couldn't say, okay, we're going to do this and put the awnings over and come back at a later date and put it with ADA accessible playgrounds. I mean, we just authorized the 2 playgrounds because they said they couldn't be fixed in Highland Station, and I know for a fact we went back and had them put in those awnings. Again, I mean, we all.
But there's also not very many parks over on that area either.
Right. Yeah.
They feel like they're left out.
But I mean, we could at least. I mean, how hard would it be to get a sense of what it would take to put an awning cover? What that mat they call is.
I think the one that you're talking about it over there on the east side of the park was $30,000 just to cover that one.
Well, that's right. It was for 2 of them, and it was around $30,000.
Well, if there's big trees, they can hang them, because I did in my backyard at the Baker.
I did get a quote back, and I forwarded it to Gabe from one of the companies that we did talk to at TML, and it was $8,000 to do an assessment of all our parks.
How much?
$8,000.
Here's my issue with that. You've got to think of how a resident would view that. If we were to have a vendor do an assessment and inspect things, does that look unbiased? It sure is not. And Kimley Horn, with their landscape architects and the civil piece, it makes far better practical sense to have them. So anybody can be a certified park inspector, but not all these firms have landscape architects and civil engineers. So the short, because we're farm guys, you get what you pay for. Yeah. But the understand where you're going. There's little things we can do in the intermediate. It doesn't have to be a full, redo. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely understand what I should say. We can't afford $300,000 per swing set thing all at one time. But we could go in over Oprah Jennings and say, okay, we're going to put 4 metal posts and we're going to put that shading over it. And that's not something that when they came in, whether it be Kimberly Horn or whoever came in after the fact and said, okay, we're going to put a new swing, that's there. If it's done right,
sure.
It would be an add-on.
Are we going to limit ourselves if we put the awnings over them and then we go in to replace the equipment?
Yeah.
Are we limiting ourselves to what we can put there?
Anything can be.
Because now you got to take the awnings down, put the new equipment in, and now is the old awnings going to fit?
Well, you have.
Or are they going to be too small?
When you put
especially when you go to ADA.
Yeah. When you put the awnings on this, when you put them on, you'd have to take that into consideration. You'd have to say, this is the size we're going to put back in its place eventually.
But you very well could be limiting what you can put in.
But the play equipment they have nowadays, well, Larry and anybody can tell you, they can adjust it and they can make it, you can buy a little big, it doesn't matter, you can just.
But now you're building around an awning.
So we're sort of straying afield from this item. I want to just reel us back in a little bit back to this item. So we're talking about this particular item now. I think this, what we're discussing is an action item for our Parks Board friends that I'm sure they would be happy to dig into in the future. I think that would be a good activity to come back maybe with some more assessments and recommendations. So back to this one. Any other questions on this subject? We're still on number 10. If not, then I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the recommendation from the Advisory, Recreation, and Parks Board for the Saginaw Switchyard expansion.
Do I have a second? Mr. Tucker, second. Please cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank y'all, folks. Thank you, Brack. Item number 11.
Do I need to recuse myself from this?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I sit here or do I need to leave? Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I did not think about that. I appreciate that. Appreciate your integrity. So item number 11, consideration action regarding economic development agreement between the State of Saginaw and Triton Saginaw LLC for the sale and development of real property located at 400 South Saginaw Boulevard and 405 South Belmont Street. Keith Reinhardt, Director of Community and Economic Development.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are y'all this evening?
Tired.
I was trying to decide how I wanted to start this out, and if you'll give me a minute before our presenters come up here, I wanted to give you a little bit of history. Not a lot. In your packet, there's a lot of history, but I'm going to give you a little bit of history, and I'm also going to relate this to now, I don't have a master's in public administration from any school, so I can't say that's in the curriculum. But what I can tell you, it probably should be, on how city government works and how planning works. And I'm going to give you a little example of that. At March 15th, you as a mayor and city council approved a resolution that adopted a work plan for our city manager to how to move forward this next year, different priorities and giving direction to our city manager. One of the items was redevelopment planning of the current Central Fire Station site for a restaurant or entertainment. All right, having said that, now let's go back in history a little bit. In 2018, the City of Saginaw asked our residents, and this is a part of that City Planning 101, our city asked our residents in a citizen summit, what do you want? What are the type of things that you want? Tell us. And the things that they came up with in consensus relating to this are more sit-down restaurants, they want fast casual restaurants, they want retail, and they want entertainment. A year later, my department did a citizen survey. 1,100 people responded, and they asked him specifically, what do you want? I won't go into great detail, but I will tell you a few things off of the list that they wanted on top 10 restaurant types. Number 1 was casual, sit-down dining. 3 was fast casual. 9 was bar. pub, brewery. Top 10 food categories. Number 3 was Mexican, number 7 was American, number 9 was barbecue. So in a resident request that they asked for, things that they suggested, and I'll put it in kind of in a nutshell, it was very consistent. They wanted us to take care of southern Saginaw. And what they meant by that was from McElroy south to our southern border. About a year and a half ago, the city made the decision that we needed a new fire station for obvious reasons and set aside the money and started the construction on that, which is underway right now. And very soon, our fire department will be able to move into that new station. You as a council gave our city manager direction to do this year, but about a year and a half ago, we'd already started working on that. I began working with the retail coach, which, as you know, we approve funding for them to help me and my department with retail recruitment. They have contacts that I don't have. They have ends that I don't have, and they've been able to assist us significantly with that. Speaking ahead a little bit, in mid-March, we had originally contacted sent out some information to this development group. We've contacted and talked to quite a few restaurant development groups. There's a number of them out there. At the end of March, I went to a conference. It's International Council of Shopping Centers, and it was in Dallas. And this is one of those, it was explained to me the first time I went when they said, well, I don't know how to tell you. It's kind of like speed dating. I've never been speed dating, so I don't know. I can't confirm this or not. They say it's kind of like speed dating. You have about 3 to 5 minutes to be able to talk to these businesses and tell them about Saginaw and why they should come to Saginaw. You can't go up there and hand them a big book of these are the reasons why, because they'll set it right over here and drop it in the trash can. But if you give them a little bit of information that just sparks their interest, that works. I happen to be going around talking to businesses and restaurants, giving my little speed dating speech, and my friend from retail coach, Aaron Farmer, came up to me and said, hey, remember when I told you about local favorites? The CEO's right over there. You want to go talk to him? I was like, heck yeah, let's go. So we went over there and we found Mike Carnes, and we talked. And we talked a lot that night or that day, and we've had several meetings at this, looking at the fire station location. We've talked to other groups also, but we did specifically talk to Mike and his team. Later in kind of midsummer, mid-June, late June, as a city, we went out for bid, accepting bids for the possible sale of the property with the intention of trying to get a sit-down restaurant or entertainment group to come in there. Bids came back. It was our intention, and I believe it was the intention of the council, we were hoping for one sit-down restaurant, one destination type restaurant, not just a fast casual type place, but a place where people will drive to your town because you have X restaurant there. We were hoping for one. What you'll see here in just a little bit is a little bit more than what we expected. I won't go into great detail because I know they've got a magnificent presentation, but what this project could provide is 2 and possibly 3 branded sit-down restaurants and 1 entertainment venue. This is exactly what our residents said in 2018. This is exactly what our residents said in 2019, and exactly what they've told me every single day in emails and phone calls. And it's exactly what you've asked us to do. Development is very difficult. It's not easy. It takes time. It teaches you patience. It's not one of those things where Councilmember Tucker says, hey, Keith, it'd be really cool if we had this restaurant. And I say, okay, and I get on the phone and call X restaurant and say, hey, why don't you in Saginaw? And they say, okay, and then tomorrow they start building. And I wish it worked that way, because, man, that would make my job a lot easier, but it doesn't. It takes time, and this has taken a long time to get to this point. And it would not be anywhere close to where it is now, because my job is to build relationships. My job is to build relationships with our residents and with you and with our business community and with those guys over there. I'm going to turn it over to them.
Welcome to Saginaw, Mike. Good to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you, Mayor. Thank you for that kind introduction there, Keith. This is my clicker. Left side. Pleasure to see you again, and wonderful to see City Council and your staff. Congratulations on your award. Very amazing, and it's an honor to be here and be considered for this great site. Just a little bit about our company. It's Local Favorite Restaurant Group. We acquired El Phoenix in 2008 after a long career in restaurants and real estate development, retail shopping center development. That was 15 restaurants at the time, and 14 years ago or so, I guess. And so we've used that, utilized that company to be able to build and acquire other restaurants. So now we're 55 restaurants across 4 states and 55 restaurants, 10 brands. And we aspire to be the #1 restaurant career opportunity in the nation. So growth is a big piece of our program. Let's see if I can do this here. Which one? There we go.
I'll do it from my side if it's not working up there.
Okay. Am I going backwards now?
Right side.
Here.
I'll do it.
You know how to do that.
Raise your hand when you want me to change it, and I'll get it.
So we're almost 2,000 employees now across these different brands. We love to grow because we love to promote our people from within. And so a little bit about our core values. Click, click. So there's some of our brands there. We cross the spectrum pretty wide, basically in hamburgers and Mexican food. We also have Chinese and barbecue, and we also have a food production company called Sunrise Mexican Foods, and then some one-off specialty restaurants. And we're about, as a company, our core values are about passion, pride, and performance, with purpose-driven profits. The profits, again, to help us grow and also give back to our community. So we've got some members of our team here that are going to speak to their specialties. The first, I'm proud to announce my son, Cannon, to talk about the asset, the site specifically.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Could we do the next slide, please? One more. One more. So it's our goal to be the community anchor, or a community anchor. I know there are several for this site, and when Keith's talking about having a place that you want to drive across town for, that's absolutely what we're looking to do here. Saginaw, I don't need to tell you guys, has had incredible growth for the past several years and is definitely in the next stage of that growth and seeing a lot more coming. So we're really excited and honored to be a part of the community and have this opportunity. Our goal with the site is to activate the property and just generate a lot of energy. Our concepts, as my dad had just mentioned, we cast a wide net of different brands, and we'll get more into that. But the burgers are going to be a big concept, Twisted Root Burger Company, if anyone's familiar with it. And then it'll be a multi-concept location that's going to have a shared patio with a lot of energy. Our director of construction will show you the site plan of that in a little bit. But it's really just a place that you can take the family, you can take the friends, and everyone you can get a taco down in one way and a burger over there, maybe some barbecue, and just have a good time. And there will be a music venue, lawn games, definitely going to bring that energy and be a destination spot. Next slide, please. So you can see on the left here, this is our traffic that we've seen for our Mansfield development, which has a taqueria and a Twisted Root and that's Twisted Root is the burgers, and then also a Del Toro for barbecue. So this is a tri-concept location, and it's bringing in that red line that you see on the left-hand side is an 18-minute drive time window, which is what we found our core consumer to come, and they're driving from pretty far out and leaving their own neighborhoods to do so. And you can see the number of visits per year as well. This is all based on some third-party data that we use when we evaluate new sites. We looked at the fire station site and got really excited about the wide range that even an 18-minute, let alone even condensing that to a 15-minute drive time would provide, it's a 72% increase in population compared to our Mansfield radius there. So we expect that to be drawing from North Fort Worth, Lake Worth, Avondale, just to name a few. But we definitely do expect to see this generate a ton of traffic and not just take, of course, there's going to be plenty of customers from the city of Saginaw, and that's the priority, is to be a community hub, but it's going to be bringing in new money as well. One final piece is with our Mansfield property. I mentioned we had Tri-Concept there. It's we've learned a lot in that development. It's the first time we've done something like that in a new market for us, and we're really excited to entertain and look at this option and just have the opportunity to be here and entertain the Saginaw and do it even better. And then I'll bring it to Bill McMahon, Director of Construction.
Hi, I'm Bill McMahon, Director of Construction. So it sounds like I would be talking bricks and sticks, but I first wanted to touch on a couple points. Mike discussed passion, pride, and performance. That's paramount to us in everything we do. And when we first got the chance, you're ahead of me now. When we first had the chance to tour the fire station, we walked through, we saw passion, pride, and performance with those guys too. The equipment was perfect, meticulous. The garage bays were spotless. And you could just tell they were proud of what they did. With that, we kind of want to pay some homage to that in the design and the development of what we're doing. So we've kind of captured some elements and spirit of the fire station that's existing into the new building and complex that we're doing. So now, thanks, Steve. So basically what we have there is it's a 3-restaurant concept, street-facing program with a combination patio plan in the center, and then a live music venue at the old senior center. So basically it's a contained unit. It's kind of a place that you come to eat, but you stay to play. So there'll be events, things like that, music events, and also games and stuff like that. So it's more of it's not just a go there, eat, and leave. It's really kind of immerse yourself in the experience. So there'll be 3 of our concepts there. Like I said, a common area patio, music venue. We're going to use the existing elements of the structures that are there now and just complement with that. If you want to change to the next. So this is kind of some of our renderings that we've done so far. This would be a street view of what you see from the highway. It's going to draw a lot of people's attention and hopefully a lot of people from the area. So I think it looks pretty exciting to us, and part of my job is to make sure you guys are as thrilled about it as we are. But, it's really the kind of place that you can come in, kick back, relax, enjoy some live music, and have some fun and some good food. So I'll leave it to Liz Ruiz, our designer, and go from there.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Ruiz. They call me Liz, it's easier. So I am the creative director for Local Favorite, and I have been involved with the company for the last 11 years, since the second brand Mike developed. And, so these type of concepts in these type of developments just allowed us to bring, different, a variety of environment and fun to every person in the community. These concepts will, it's not just, having a bar and full of adults. We want spaces to have families, soccer teams, moms, everybody in town and in the region. As Cannon said, we want to draw, the towns, the surrounding towns and surrounding areas. Enhancement is my expertise, and the construction and everything. I'm very involved, but to make these places look cool, fun in every aspect, it's one of our. It's ideally to make these to work to really attract what we are looking for. And, we're excited about it. Thank you for the time.
Mayor, council, I guess I'll introduce myself since Liz didn't do it. You can go to the next slide, Keith, and you'll stay there. So I want to talk to you about...
What's your name? You didn't introduce yourself.
Anthony. It's Anthony McCallum. I actually head operations for Local Favorite and been in the restaurant business for 30-plus years, so a long time. I'm honored to be before you to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, people and the community. Okay, so we would come in and we would hire upwards of 200 people from Saginaw, so local. Okay, and we'd bring those folks aboard along with about 12 managers from the area as well, and then of course vendors would be getting work from us, and also talent would be bringing in. So also a little bit about Local Favorites. We strive to pay top quartile pay in the industry, which I think is important. We also have realistic bonus potential for our managers and great benefits programs, so insurance, medical, dental, eye care. We also have paid time off and food discounts, which is probably my favorite discount. And also, not only are we offering jobs to the community of Saginaw, but careers. And one thing about the restaurant industry is it is different. I've known people to go from the dish room to the boardroom. I myself started off as a regular employee, worked my way up to vice president of the largest restaurant company in the world, Darden. And so I know what a restaurant company has to offer people. And so I'm excited that we would have that to offer the community of Saginaw. 70% of the hires that go into management come from internals. So we really focus on developing our people. Okay? And then after we hire them, give them a great career, that doesn't stop there. We believe in ongoing training and development because people want to continue growing. And so we do that. We evaluate our talent, put systems in place to make sure that we continue to develop the right people and put them in the right places to be successful. So we believe the better we get our people, the better the company performs. And then regional. So Cannon talked about bringing in more people to the area because this is a destination place that we're talking about doing. Also, the talent would bring more people in, and the more people we bring in, the more opportunity for business, other businesses as well. And then nationally, I want to talk about our mission, our vision is to be the #1 restaurant career opportunity in the nation, and we mean that. And we do that by hiring great people, training those great people, taking great care of them, and then because we know when we have great people, that gives them a great opportunity, and then also it gives the Saginaw community a great opportunity to thrive. So thank you so much. Next, we will have Doug to talk about the numbers. So y'all ready to go to sleep?
Nice intro, man.
Good evening. I'm Doug Hipskin. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Local Favorite. Keith, you can go ahead and you can jump to the numbers. So keep going if you.
You're hungry, aren't you?
Nope, keep going.
I'm really hungry now.
Let's go 2 more. Yep. And again. all the visuals for you to look through at your convenience. So let's actually go to the next one. We'll come back to this one afterwards. So when Local Favorite goes to develop a restaurant concept, typically when we go out and do one single location, our budget for that single location typically is in the range of $500,000 to $1.5 million for us to go develop that. What we're looking to develop here is 3 distinct restaurants with an outdoor entertainment venue. So if you merely apply our $500,000 to $1.5 million range across 3 brands, really you're looking at a development budget between $1.5 million and $4.5 million. What we're looking at for this particular site is really closer to $5 million. We're just shy of $5 million, and we're comfortable with that. It really, I think, speaks volumes to our enthusiasm in this site, what we see the potential for the site developing into, and our comfort with the draw that we think will come to this location. So we are prepared to invest kind of on the high end of our range, knowing that this will be a destination location. If you go back up to the last one. So looking at the economic impact, really here I'm presenting more our base case budget. Twisted Root and Taqueria La Ventana, revenues of about $2.25 million each, and Del Toro Barbecue with projected revenues of $3 million. Again, that's kind of our base case budget. Again, we want to set our budget low and then seek to outperform that. And I mean, we think in this case we can do that. But even at the $7.5 million level, you look at the sales taxes that will generate, and close to $620,000 in total sales taxes, with nearly $150,000 of that coming to Tarrant County and the city of Saginaw. So we do think there's a win-win for both us as the developer as well as the city.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity and your consideration. Thank you.
Go, council, questions? Mary, please.
I like the concept of, having a group of restaurants all at once. And they're all well-known brands and good quality restaurants. But if one were to go under, since you do have many different restaurants under your belt, would one be easy to just go in that place if one did go under?
So we've done that a few times, just as an area will change or a concept just doesn't work as well as we thought. And that's one of the things we like about being multi-brand, 10 brands, so we can adjust, and we would definitely plug another restaurant back in if something happened.
Council, other questions?
Yeah, if I could just add to that, too. I'm sorry, Mayor. So the agreement actually contemplates and allows for them to substitute one restaurant for another other than the Twisted Root. But it will have to be one from their portfolio.
Sure. Thank you, Brent. Council, questions?
I just got a statement. I mean, we've looked at this, of course, several times, and it's pretty good. For years, I've, of course, lived in Saginaw, a lot of us, and I have seen Alliance Airport, I have seen Lake Worth, and others around here. They build things similar to this, or they grew up, and we've just seemed to be stagnant. And our citizens we've done multiple surveys, and they always come back. They want something like this. So I'm very excited that you've decided to come in and work with us as a family and try to pull something like this together for the citizens of Saginaw. And if it's not successful, it sure should have been. So yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Paul, anything you want to add?
Yep. Being a former chef, I love this. I've been to the truck yard, the woodshed, and a lot of the same similarities and stuff, and I think this is perfect for Saginaw.
Mr. Tucker, anything you want to add?
Well, I was just going to talk about the pickle barrels.
Charlie's hungry.
We have to say, I have to say, on behalf of our chef, he's not here, he couldn't make it. We don't have freezers in any of our brands. So that says something really good about it.
Wow. That's phenomenal. Don't have any freezers in the facilities. So everything is
But no, that was great.
Keith, you have something?
I just wanted to add something real quick. It kind of tells you a little bit about the group, something different, not necessarily thought of as again, when we were trying to plan for this facility, before we knew about them, we were looking for one sit-down destination type place. And our intention was, when our fire department moved out, that we were going to level everything. And the first meeting we had with him, Mike asked me, he said, well, y'all are planning to level the buildings? We're like, yeah, we are. And he said, well, when are you going to do that? I said, well, as soon as they move out. He says, is there any way you can hold off on that? And I'm like, sure, we can. He said, I think we'd like to use them. And I think it says a lot about the group, because both of those buildings provide some history to our community. Where the fire station is located, it's been there a while. Our senior center, it's been there a while. And a lot of people have a lot of heartfelt memories of both of those places. And for them to want to take in both of those buildings and make good use of it, I think that says something.
Oh, good point, Keith. That was one of definitely the concerns council has, was maintaining some of our history there, because we're very proud of our history. Fire station's been there a long time. I think 70 years, maybe longer.
Not quite. And it served as the police department, city hall, the library, many things.
There's a jail cell in the fire station. There's an old jail cell. You can keep the jail cell if you want. It is vintage, let me tell you. It is nice. You should take a look at it. All right, so when we started talking about this project, I was skeptical. I wasn't sure Twisted Root and that such a big group would want to come to town. After I met you guys, I was thrilled. I went down there to Mansfield as well. I've been there a couple times with my wife. I do like it. I want ours to be bigger and nicer. I've been wanting a place in Saginaw where I can go get me a hamburger, drink me a beer, and watch a band. That's all I ask. Is that too much to ask? That is not too much. And we don't have that today. And there's lots of folks that feel the same way. I want folks to live, work, eat, and play in Saginaw. This will go much farther toward making that happen. And as Keith mentioned, this side of town, the south side of town, has been neglected. Folks there, I hear it, they feel a little left out. All the cool stuff comes to the north end of town for various reasons, the newer stuff. So I think this will start some redevelopment at that part of town. But of course, our numbers are fantastic. We get so much traffic there. We have a lot of people here. We have more people coming. We're building as fast as they can. People move here as fast as we can build stuff. It is amazing. So I have no doubt that these restaurant concepts will be fantastically successful. I look forward to partnering with a quality group like y'all, and I'm ready to go drink me a beer. But my other question I had was brewery. Mansfield has a brewery. Are we getting a brewery? I think I know the answer, but I want to.
We have plenty of grain to make beer, so
we can look at it. It was there at Mansfield. It's a pretty complicated system, but we'll for sure have draft beer there, and we might finish it.
Well, I'm thinking.
Start it in Mansfield and finish it.
I would love to have maybe like a Saginaw beer.
Yeah. I like it.
Saginaw name beer, whatever, that'd be something cool, something to think about. But
Mayor, can I add something?
Yes, sir.
I think somebody said it earlier, like they hope that it does better than Mansfield. One thing, I'm honored to work with people like I work with, because they want to do everything better every time they do something. And that's the way that we plan. And heading ops, that's a big part too of what I try to bring. The last Twisted Root that we built in Abilene just recently, we set out to make it the best, the biggest and best, and it broke the record for all time for a week, and then we went ahead and broke that record a second time, the second week. So anything that we do, we try to do it bigger and better every time. So I think y'all are lucky because we've done this before, and now we want to do it bigger and better.
Awesome. That is great news. Thank you. Council, any other questions? Anything else staff wants to add? Bryn, we happy with the contract? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I have to talk more than normal.
Sure.
So you see the screen. So those are the silos on the road, right? McKinney, Texas is doing that already. And that's something we cannot do by ourselves, but it's to enhance the entire site. And we can do partnership. I direct all of our murals. I have muralist people, and we can work with local mural people and maybe work on a project like that with the collaboration of the
We would love that.
Saginaw.
Okay, we've got
Mayor and Council, if you remember, about maybe a little over a year ago, we talked about doing something like this, painting the elevators. And when they gave us the very first presentation for this, it had that in there, and we never even shared with them that was an idea we had. So it's kind of neat how we were thinking alike.
Yeah, they said no. Brent? Contract good, we happy?
Just two things quickly. Number one, just to set expectations. So the developer can be substantially compliant with and essentially complete the agreement with the construction of and receiving the CO for only 2 restaurants, okay? So the deadline is October 31st of 2024. There is a force majeure clause, which is an act of God clause that allows for all or any of the deadlines in this agreement to be told for an additional year. So worst case scenario with full compliance is 2 restaurants by October 31st, 2025, okay? And then finally, this contract has been negotiated through my drive time here. My partner texted me and said we finally have resolution on the final issues. Well, what I'd prefer for the motion to be would be to authorize the mayor to execute this agreement, subject to my approval of the final version, because drafts have been going back and forth all day.
I think that sounds reasonable. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Council, any other questions? Anything else? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we consider the actions regarding the economic development agreement by and between the City of Saginaw and, am I on the right one? And development real estate property located at 400S Saginaw Boulevard and 405S Belmont Street, with the amendment
subject to
REN's
approval.
REN's approval.
Thank you.
That'll work?
That'll work.
Okay. Charlie, second. Cast your votes, please. Motion passes. Welcome to Saginaw, guys. We look forward to working with y'all. We really do. Let's make it happen. All right. I think Charlie's hungry. Let's move it. All right, number 12, consider action regarding appointments for Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, Advisory Recreation Parks Board, and Board of Adjustment. For that, Nikki Lawson, City Council.
Okay.
Oh, let's get Valerie. Yeah. Let me grab her.
She doesn't sleep back here.
All right, Nick, take it away.
Yeah, we had 3 committees that needed appointments, and we sent out requests for applications, and we got them. The 3 committees was the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, the Advisory Recreational and Parks Board, and the Board of Adjustments. The Council Subcommittee, we reviewed the applications received, and in your all's packet is the recommendations of the individuals who are recommended for these 3 parks. Each one has to be voted on, each committee has to be voted on separately. So as I do it, I'll have to make 3 separate motions. Okay. So is there any questions concerning these?
Questions for Nikki? Then we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that for the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee, we appoint Judy Deller to place 7, Crystal Amador to place 8, thanks for the help, and Stacy LaBelle to place 9.
Do you have a second? Mary, a second? Cast your votes. All right, next.
Mayor, I move that for the Advisory of Recreational and Parks Board, that we move alternate number 2, Wayne Giles, to place 4, that we appoint Jane Lyon to alternate 1, and this would still leave alternate position 2 vacant.
Do we have a second? Pick your. Several people did. Pick one. All right, please vote. All All right, Board of Adjustments.
I move that for the Board of Adjustments, we move alternate number 1, Mike Colgrove, to place 1. We move alternate number 2, Stephen Smiley, to alternate number 1. And this would leave alternate position 2 vacant.
One second. Charlie, second. Please cast your votes. All right, thank you, Councilmember Lawson. Appreciate it. Moving forward, item number 13, consideration action regarding ordinance number 2022-08, carport regulation amending ordinance. For that, Doug Spears, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, for the next 2 items will be as thorough as necessary, but as quick as allowed. I believe the amending ordinance before you was originally initiated by Councilmember Lawson. It's on the regulation of carports. On August 16th, a public hearing was held, and Ms. Victor actually did a council presentation. The ordinance essentially permits carports in residential areas throughout their city through application and approval of a specific use permit. Carports are currently prohibited in some residential areas while being allowed in others. This will rectify that situation. The ordinance contains some basic design and installation standards, but as written, it provides City Council the discretion to modify those standards on a per SUP application basis. I believe that was the desired direction. As a reminder, specific use permits go before Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation. If P&Z denies the SUP, it can still be brought before council, but it's my understanding without the approval of P&Z, a supermajority of the City Council will be required to approve that SUP. So we've got CBO Larry Little here with me, and we'll attempt to answer any questions you have about it.
I'd like to make something straight. So if somebody files for a SUP to get a carport, they have to pay what is it?
$750.
$750. And then it goes to P&Z or to planning.
Correct.
And then if they don't approve it and they bring it to the council, we have to have a supermajority. And that's 5 people. And if it doesn't pass, they automatically lose that money and it's null, right?
It's currently non-refundable.
Okay. That's what I just want the citizens to understand all that.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Council, other questions for the chief?
So on that, because I got some, I'll read some. I got some things I'd like to change, but I'm assuming if I show up with something and it's obvious that you're going to fell it, you wouldn't let a citizen pay $700 and then the city pocket the money and.
I think that would be communication through P&Z.
Yeah.
That's why those basic standards are in there. I think as long as you're in alignment with that, you can go with the confidence that it's not going to be denied unless you're building something way outside those standards. Again, there's variations that you can approve, but
well, we have other uses that are only permitted by SUP. So, however staff communicates the risk, they would be able to do the same in this instance as well.
Yeah, I'm okay with it going through the SUP. I do have to the council here some recommendations for change. Section 3 on the definition of carport, I would like added, and I've got it written up here if I'm the one that makes the motion, to add a thing that unless the design of the house only permits 2 unenclosed sites. So we added, I went and looked up what the definition of a carport was and a general definition, and then we kind of added in there that it had to be 3 sides had to be open. Now, I don't know if Saginaw has any, but I definitely know there is certain designs of houses where the house comes in like this and there's a back area back there, and if there's a carport, and so that only gives you 2 sides open. So that's why I put that in there, that if the house is designed to where it's done that way, it would be, that would be permissible. In Section 4, again, to the council, I recommend that we strike Section 4, subsection D, 1, A and B be striked. In other words, not use them. One states that there can only be 1 carport. The other one states that it can only be 600 square feet. I don't know where the 600 square feet comes from, but to me, since they have to get a special permit abatement anyways, and it has to match the overall contour of the building and stuff, that should be covered. And also, too, if I have a bigger area and a bigger yard, then maybe it's okay, and it would look fine to have a bigger space.
So you're saying they could have 2 carports?
Well, and there's a thing. Okay, what if you had your front, and what if you had an RV and you wanted to you was on a side lot and you wanted to pull your RV in beside your house, and you had enough space to do that. Now, that to me is called a carport, but you could have a thing that attached to your house and looked just fine. So I just went through everything as I was doing this. Is there any reasons or any things where you could have something like this and it be acceptable? And so that's why I want to do that. Again, it's left up at the end. It's, the way it's worded, if they tried to cram something in there, it wouldn't match the overall tier of the house and stuff. But we're not excluding it.
See, my
It at
house
least
is like
gives
that. I have a
option.
drive on the side and then a drive in the front.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Lawson sent some questions, so we can address each one of his comments individually, but staff recommends accepting the ordinance as it is. It is written in a way that it can come before you, and you can decide that on a case-by-case basis, but it opens up to a lot of issues that the staff has to deal with on the other end. I think it's written in such a way that you can approve it however you want to, but there are some basic design standards that I think meet the intent. The 600 square feet, I didn't answer where that come from, because that covers more than the standard driveway that's in the city now. That was from previous language. The standard driveway, or the vast majority of the driveways today, are about 480 square feet. So that gives you a carport plenty to cover that, and it would cover most 3-car garages.
Yeah, I'm not real excited about expanding it over 600 square feet. That seems really large.
I think we have to be careful of what it does to the neighboring properties, what they think about the structure as well.
But on the 3-sided, like I said, mine's got a driveway on the side. I could if I got the SUP, I could just have 2 sides open.
That would be for you to decide.
Okay.
The ordinance would allow that to come before council, and you get to decide that on a case-by-case basis.
Now hold on here, though. You're putting the citizen there, her, on a case at a huge disadvantage, because one, P&Z will immediately reject it because it's above the 600 feet. Already know they're going to. That's just the way it works. And then it would take a supermajority here. I'd kind of be okay with it if they were given, before the council, they were given fair stroke, and it was, majority rules, but that's not the case. And then you're going to charge the citizen $700. So the citizen will come up, they'll have this thing, oh, it's a great case, yeah, okay, you have to take it before it's going to fail. Then they're going to go, and they're going to lose their $500.
We're assuming it's going to fail. I think it's going to take some education of P&Z. The code official can do that with P&Z if they clearly know your intent of what the ordinance is. I think that gives them the discretion to decide how it should be approved or denied. I think that's just going to take some communication. And knowing from my own experience from codes, there's a lot of discretion in there in most of them, and it takes just some decisions to be made. They're not all black and white.
Well, when you put 600 feet, that's black and white. There's no discretion.
It is, but they can come before you, and you can approve it at a larger size. It just needs to be proven why.
Why would somebody need one bigger than 600 feet, Nikki?
No.
600 square.
Why would there's two. One is, just like she said, you got 600 feet. One is, if they have a side yard and they have a place to put an RV, they can't, under this, the way it's written now, they can't do that. So they would have to use a tarp or something to cover up the RV, which would actually not look as nice.
That's the 2-sided one. What about the 600 square feet? What would you need one so much larger?
I've read the whole ordinance, and the ordinance says it can't extend to past the house anyway. So if your front driveway only from the front going forward, and you have to be, I forget what it is, 10 feet back, then you're not going to be over 600 feet anyways. And if you happen to have a longer driveway and you can, then that's fine, and it would look nice. I'm saying that within the way the ordinance is written, the way I'm looking at it, it would there's other parts of it that would stop it from looking gawky. And even if it does look gaudy, we would catch that in the plan, and it actually says that we're allowed to make adjustments. Well,
Like the mayor. I mean, he lives within the city,
Mhm.
he's got area.
but I live on a big lot too. I could very easily put, I mean, I don't have no desire, I personally don't have no desire to put one in my front yard, but I've got a huge side yard.
A
I could
600
put one.
square foot carport, you could have it 20 foot wide and 30 foot long. If you think about that, just in dimensions, that's pretty significant.
That's very large. If somebody put one for an RV, it would be taller, but it wouldn't necessarily be.
Right.
Probably about 50 by whatever.
Again, they could come in here and you can approve it for 10,000 square feet, but they have to come in the SUP and they have to explain why they want to build it that big. You get to look at their lot, the impact that it has, and make that decision.
But you put, again, if we pass it the way it is, we're putting the citizen who does come before us at a huge disadvantage. One, we're charging them $700, and two, we're stacking the deck against them. We're saying they have to have three-quarters majority vote. So if we're going to do that, then I think...
If it fails at P&Z.
That's right.
If P&Z does not pass it.
Well, I'm thinking the P&V, anything that goes against these rules, the P&Z will fail.
I don't know the history of P&Z when they look at SUPs, but I would like to think they don't just deny them if it doesn't follow by every ordinance. I guess we have people here that can speak more towards that. But
So do you all give a recommendation to P&Z to either pass it or fail it, or what your all's opinion is?
I personally don't do the P&Z. I'm Board of Justice.
Okay, I don't know. I'm just
I think
asking.
that's Susie that handles that.
Huh?
I think that's Susie.
Yes.
Okay.
Would be the first staff contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary, go ahead.
So if the explanation in front of P&Z is appropriate and brings in all the pertinent details, I think the P&Z, if, there is a possibility they would agree with that. But then let's say they don't, and let's say we don't have a supermajority to overrule it, then could they not go to the Board of Adjustment to ask for a variance?
They could.
And how much does that cost?
Yeah, I don't know how much that costs.
But there would be another step that they could.
Not necessarily. So there are certain things that they could get a variance for, but you can't get a variance from an absolute prohibition. So if it says no more than one, the Board of Adjustment wouldn't be able to approve an allowance for another one. But in terms of the size, they possibly could, but typically that's a supermajority vote, and you have to show some hardship, the land-based hardship. And unless you have a oddly configured lot, the fact that you have more room and space is not really a hardship. The only time you would have a hardship is right if it would encroach into the side yard setback or something like that, and you needed accommodation to make it longer or something like that.
But I also think our staff would have a discussion with the applicant and, advise them as to whether they should ask for this. And if not, why not? And they would have the ability to say, well, you have a good point, and, your particular property would lend itself to that. And, I think our staff would encourage the planning and zoning to look at it that way. I think it's a matter of having the right information go before planning and zoning, and I don't think our staff would allow that person to apply for it if they felt like it wasn't a good idea, or if they felt like it wouldn't be approved, or, if they felt like there's no chance this is going to fly. I think they would advise the applicant of that.
So, they can certainly provide that advice. If someone submits an application and pays the fee, obviously we have to accept it in the process.
Right. And an SUP, I believe, in and of itself does allow for flexibility.
It does.
And
It does.
and there's really not necessarily hard and fast rules.
Right.
Completely.
Correct.
So, Mayor, do you, I have full intentions of making a motion to amend this. So we can either I can make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 motions to amend it first. We can do it all at one time, vote it up and down, my amendments, and then we can vote on the regular one. You tell me how you'd like me to proceed.
I don't really want to do 5 if we don't have to.
Yeah.
I'd rather do 1 if everybody, what does everybody think about the changes that Nikki brought? Everybody okay with them? What do y'all think?
I think they need to stay within the guidelines.
It as written?
We're setting the guidelines.
Then there is no question, and you're not trying to put our city employees behind the gun, trying to give them consultation on. Just stay within the guidelines.
What does everybody else think?
One
I don't know,
clarification,
'cause
Mayor,
I'm not-
if you're talking about the side yard setback, I'm going to put 2 hats on, because one is the fire department, and I strongly recommend you don't do that one, because that would jeopardize our access for fire activity.
Well, you still have to abide by the setback. That's regardless. I could call it a porch. I could literally get a thing, poke a hole in my wall, put a door in, put a porch, call it a porch, be done with it. And I don't know whether I could or could not park the RV.
That you're going to put on the side of the house
Yeah.
and reduce the side yard setback.
Yeah.
That will directly affect the fire department and our
Yeah.
access.
But I'm allowed to do that. There's a thing. It's up to, I think it's 10 foot, 8 or 10 foot, and then it has to be half. I have to set back half the distance of the height. So you are allowed to build stuff on your side. You just can't, like you said, I do agree. You cannot exceed that limit. And I think it's in some areas it's 2.5 feet up until I think it's 10 feet, and then it goes half the distance.
Your side yard setbacks are based on your property line.
Right.
Some of them we have some that are 5 foot,
Right.
less than 5. We have some that are
Right.
6 foot,
Yeah.
some that are 7.5.
Yeah.
So off your property line, you
Yeah.
cannot build within that side yard.
Right. But you can build. So, I mean, and I'm not saying to violate that. Not nowhere's in here is it saying that.
How you wrote it indicates that you would build in the property side yard setbacks. So I don't know that language needs to be in there. I don't know, Larry, did you read that so it clarifies? Because this is an important one that we got to get right.
Specifically, what section are we looking at?
Are you talking about Section 4, subsection D, subsection 1D?
Maintain the required side yard setback.
Yes, D.
Yeah, right.
We're not changing that, are we?
But that's exactly what I was explaining. The carport shall maintain the required side yard setback from the property.
Yeah, and that's still there.
Yeah, you're not moving that one, are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You had something in there otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
How you proposed the question was otherwise drainage plans approved by a licensed professional engineer, meaning you could skirt that.
Yeah.
That's 2 separate things. That wouldn't be allowed regardless.
Yeah. Okay. So I put that there just if they. Yeah.
I think that's where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That's separate from structure.
Yeah.
That's that
So
flat work.
the biggest thing a lot of times with these, it wasn't fire, it was flooding of the neighbors, and this was to resolve that. And so, like when I did flat work and I went right up to my property, I went and got a PE, a professional engineer, to actually sign off on the drainage that I designed.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what it's saying. So if you put something on the side of your yellow water coming off, it does mention in the thing that you have to have gutters in, but then again, anybody who's an engineer knows that just because you got gutters doesn't mean you're going to move water. It just means you're going to dump it there. So this was me trying to say, okay, we got to have that somebody who knows, fluid dynamics to make sure that water is moving out and sign off on it. That's what that was for. Make sense? What I was?
Those 2 separate things. I
Yeah.
just want to be clear.
Okay.
You're talking about a structure compared to flat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I understand structure, but that structure moves water, and it actually gets water down to one spot, and it dumps it right into a spot. So if that ground's level, even though you've got gutter, and that water's just going to build up, and it's going to go right into the neighbor's yard. That's why I had that in there, is to try to head off that problem. And by the way, that's not something cheap. A professional engineer requires a $500 review and $250 per wet stamp. And so that means just to get that done would be about $1,000, because you have to have, you'd want one and you'd get one for the city. So that's $250 plus $250 plus $500, which is $1,000.
That you could encroach into the side yards.
I did quite a bit of research on
Yeah.
carports around.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
No one else allows 600 square feet.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So that language.
That is a lot of carport. But we did that, and I kept it that way because I believe Gabe lives in a neighborhood with 3-car garages. And I'm sure when they released it, if they were able to put a 3-car carport up, they would want to put a carport, and 600 would be right to that, what would be allowed. But that's a lot of carport.
Yeah, I think 600 is, I wouldn't want to go any bigger than 600.
Getting clarification from Bryn too on that particular last one, that wording that you added, that shouldn't be in there.
Okay, well, we can strike that one out. I mean, it's just, like I say, just, you guys should know this as code, or whoever you are, whoever works, that just because you putting gutters on don't mean you're going to move water. And you're going to be dumping, you technically, if I put that in there, you're going to be dumping water, and it
Yeah,
can just be.
I think the way this reads is you would be able to disregard the side yard setbacks and put your carport in there.
Right, so maybe it needs to be reworded a little bit to try to get what I was getting at, or maybe it don't, just leave it the way it is. I don't know what happens if,
Again, we're going from no carports in some areas to carports. Again, I'll just say one more time, the staff recommends leaving them as they were proposed.
and I'm okay to strike that one, because like I said, I was just putting it in there trying to like I say, I know that me and you've talked to a lot of flooding problems and stuff, and I was just trying to get out of that. So.
Right, so Nikki, what specifically are we still on?
Well, I don't know. I mean, so what do y'all think? I mean, I know you say leave it as it is. I'm assuming you say leave it as it is.
The one,
Like you say, it's better than a sharp stick in the eye. It's better than what we got now. I'd just like to try to make it a little better.
And do you think we're going to have a mad run on people?
No,
with carport?
I
Okay.
don't.
I think we've set a pretty high bar here. You're going to have fewer and fewer.
Well, I want one, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I
You need one bigger than 600 square feet?
No, I think it's 50 by however wide it is.
I wouldn't.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you'd need.
Yeah.
Before I give up on this, the 600 feet, fine. I do need a clarification on the definition, well, one, the definition of a carport. And,
You mean the legal definition of a carport, or what do you mean?
well, we're fixing to set the legal, I mean, you can look it up and Google what a carport is. That's what I did. But we're fixing to set it, it will be our definition when we do it. So, your definition says, it actually puts the front build line instead of just the build line. So I guess that goes into, if you say that you cannot have a carport on the side yard, then I guess that's irrelevant. So
I think you can come before council and y'all can approve that. That would be in the SUP. That would be the ask of the council. Typically, a carport is in the front over the driveway or an extra drive you poured. There are exceptions when you would want to have it on the side yard. So,
So what's it called? I mean, I've got a big yard, and say I want to, and I can park. I park trailers there all the time. I can park an RV in my side yard, no problem. If I want to put an awning over that, do I call that a porch, or do I call that a carport?
it would be a carport.
Okay, so I can't do that the way this is written. Even though I've got an expanded backyard, I've got everything, I cannot do that, even my property.
Why can't you?
The way this is written, they say I can only do it in the front.
That's not what it says.
No. Well, that wouldn't be true because.
Well, if you read, it says,
It is allowed,
It is?
A lot of cities don't, I'll tell you, a lot of cities don't, they've actually been away with it, a lot of them with carports. They don't want carports in the front build lines.
Okay.
Matter of fact, one of the cities, I believe it's Keller's got an ordinance where it states that you can have, as long as you can't have a carport in the build line, I think it's for 25 feet, but they have 35-foot build line. So what they're saying is you've got 10 foot that you could actually build. They're not saying you can.
So
You've got 10 foot to build it.
So the front build line, you're not saying I have to build from the front of my house forward to 10 foot to the road?
It's allowed because
Okay.
in our ordinance, we get this confusion all the time. Our ordinance, we have something in the fence ordinance that only decorative fences are allowed in the front yard.
Yeah.
So I was kind of trying to clarify that they can understand that they are allowed on that front. We get that question all the time.
Yeah.
When it comes to carports, they don't really allow those in the front, behind the front building or above.
So as long as I'm meeting the setbacks and everything, then I can have a carport on the
If you have
side.
that large of a setback on the side, sure.
Okay. I'm okay at that then. Like I say, I just went and looked up what a front build line was and stuff, and I looked and they had a front build line, they had a side build line. I'm like, oh, okay. Then they're going to use this to interpret it.
Defer to the code official for that.
Huh?
So
And an
defer to
SUP
the code official for that.
Yeah.
And the SUP really is a case by case.
Yes.
All
Correct.
the way, so.
By definition.
By definition it is, yeah. Yeah, okay.
All right, so Nikki, you want to read us what you got?
Well, I mean, if it seems like we.
What is still on the list that you were wanting to?
The only thing left on here, because that was a misunderstanding of me of what you all's me reading what a front build line was, and then you all explained it. The only thing left is why I can't have, if I had again a big enough lot, and I had an RV, why I couldn't have we always call them lean-tos, a carport on the side and a.
You mean a freestanding building somewhere in your yard?
Well, I guess it could be freestanding, then it wouldn't be a carport.
Well, it would be, you can do detached accessory, detached accessory. Those are allowed.
Yeah.
But just remember, as the other ordinances, if you're gonna park it back there, you're deep under that detached and brick the wetlands. Our ordinance still says that you got to have a solid approved surface from the time it leaves the street to the time it rests.
Yeah.
So our intent is not to have a carport in the rear yard or a freestanding structure.
Well, no, rear, I was talking about some yards, like I think yours is, you can have it in, I can get to my back, I got a side yard where, I'm in a half cul-de-sac and it goes out like this and I can, and you see people.
You're gonna listen to these stories, they'll be able to listen to that way in.
Right. Okay.
Nikki, let's do a motion. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Do it.
Let's see here. 1 second, let me. So, sorry, I got to catch myself here. Which one are we on, sir? 14?
Number 13.
13. Mayor, I move that we approve the consideration and action regarding ordinance number 2022-08 carport regulation amendments ordinance and public hearing held on 8/16/2022.
I'll second.
Ladies and gentlemen, cast your ballots. Cast your votes. Motion passes. Thank you all. All right. Finally, item number 15. Discussed and second on a home improvement program. We've got Salvador. Welcome, sir.
I was going to start real quick, Mayor,
Okay.
if I dare.
Chief.
Thank you again, Council. The home renovation program is one that has proven successful in some other Metroplex cities, two of those being North Richland Hills, Garland. The program somewhat mirrors our building improvement grant that we won an award for. That program is obviously available for commercial properties. This is more for residential. The intent tonight is to give you an overview of the program. There's still some considerable work to be done, but we didn't want to get out in front of council and continue that work without getting support from you. Again, if we get that support, we'll continue to work on this and plan to bring that before council at another time. It'll likely take a resolution for formal action to put it into motion. Our management analyst, Salvador Gonzalez, he did all the heavy lifting. So he's got a brief presentation for you, and then we'll all try to get together and answer questions that you may have.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to try to go as fast as possible so we can all get out of here before the sun comes up.
That'd be nice.
So, yeah, once again, this is called the Saginaw Home Improvement Program. Just to reiterate what Chief Spears just said, we're looking to come back at a different time for actual council action. So this is just an introduction. So the idea here is kind of similar to what we have been doing in the commercial side. We really want to get neighbors and individual property homeowners to invest in their properties. So we want to incentivize those kinds of projects. And the idea is to get these homeowners to make improvements. Once they can make improvements, then hopefully they can improve the overall look of their neighborhood and community. So I did pass a map around, and that's the proposed target area that we're going to be looking at the first year. Hopefully we can start this year within the next few months. The first year we really want to keep it simple. We're going to be focusing on single-family homes, anything to do with individual homeowners, and we really just want to keep it as simple as possible to keep it as a pilot program, really.
Are we talking owner-occupied?
Sorry?
Are we talking owner-occupied, or would you
Correct.
make it rent out?
It'd have to be if it's homesteaded, right?
Yeah, it would be a registered homestead.
Okay.
Yes, that will be one of the requirements, just to make sure that this will be the actual home in place of the individual homeowner.
Good.
And like I mentioned, this is the first year that we're going to be doing this. So once we actually roll this out and do this a few years, we might make some adjustments and make it a little more complex.
Yeah.
So once again, this is the proposed area that we want to focus on, and it's really just on the limits of that map right there. So just a quick summary of what it's going to look like. The projects that we're going to be looking at, really improvements, they're going to have a minimum of $2,500. So individual homeowners can propose, for instance, repainting their homes, gutter replacement, things of that nature. And this will really be centered in the building permit and inspections department. So with Larry's people, they will submit an application and hopefully get approved. Once they are approved and the application is processed, they can receive a variety of different incentives. So we were looking at a waiver of all permit fees, city right-of-way improvements, as well as a fully paid roll-off dumpster, and ultimately 5% cash rebates on the total project cost.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the roll-off dumpster, is Waste Management going to give us a deal on those?
Yeah.
We would pay the commercial rate that they offer any other commercial customer.
I just figured maybe they might help us, and
We could ask, but yeah.
it don't hurt to ask. 'Cause
Sure.
They might. Okay.
And just to add to that, we would ensure that it was full all the way to the top to make sure that it's a full use. Yeah, so 5% rebates on total cost of projects and improvements with a maximum of $5,000 rebates on that. And of course, Larry's people will make sure that everything's done right throughout the whole process. Oh, did I skip a slide? I think I did. Nope. Okay, so now to some of the more fun stuff. When I looked at the when Gabe proposed this and when we talked about it, I looked at other cities to see what they were doing to make sure that this type of program was successful. And we've been talking back and forth with Larry and Chief Spears and Gabe and Larry's people as well. And the idea here is to really improve the frontage of the property. So you'll see that these are some of the improvements that we really want to see throughout the program. But like I said, the idea is to really make that front of the house really nice so that when you're driving through that neighborhood, you can really get a sense that things are improving and things are generally nice in that neighborhood. Again, some more improvement types that we really looked at and really want to see throughout the program. And I do want to mention that we will have some leeway for Larry's people to make judgment calls on certain improvements. So that there will be some room for that. Not all improvements will be listed on here. For instance, if someone were to have a drainage issue in the backyard or in the front yard, that would probably be considered for the program. The idea is to really improve the overall standard and quality of the home. And it's not always feasible to do that just by making it look nicer. And one other thing, the idea with these improvements is to be able to stack them on top of each other in a way. So maybe you repaint your home, and that's not going to be $5,000 or a $2,500 cost. But you repaint your home and you install new gutters. Now all of a sudden you're getting closer to that threshold. So, like Chief Spears mentioned, and I talked about earlier, really we just want to introduce this to you guys and get your feedback and get your thought process on this. Once we get that feedback and we come back for a later date for a council action, hopefully it can be approved and we can introduce those policy documents. Once it's approved, then we'll be advertising it on social media. We're actually working on a poster/checklist that's going to really just sum up the program really nicely, and we can put on Facebook and throughout the community to really push the program. And then we can also maybe implement like a sign that people can put on their front yards that say, my ship has sailed, or something cheesy like that.
That would be a nice way to promote it, yeah.
Yeah.
Council, questions for Salvador?
Questions?
Mary?
Comments?
I have several just clarifications and maybe suggestions, because I found some of the language disagreed a little bit with each other or was kind of vague.
Okay.
But on page 1, section B, number 4, this is not vague at all. It says you will get 5%, assuming you get your post-inspection.
Mm-hmm.
You will get 5% of the cost rebated. You will get a 5% rebate.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but in the building improvement grants, we don't always give the full amount that's allowed. And I just wondered, will they always get that 5%? Because I think they should.
Yeah.
But there's something else in here on page 5, section 5, Roman numeral 5A.
Where? Page 5?
Page 5, Roman numeral 5, letter A. It says award is at the sole discretion of the city, and that makes it sound like there's some ability for the city to not give that award. And I think what you're proposing is, as long as they meet that final inspection, they would get that 5% rebate. But this wording makes it sound like, hey, we may or may not do this.
No, that's not really the intent.
Yeah.
If
But
there's an issue, if the work wasn't completed to satisfaction or something like that, the city can decide to withhold that money, but that is not the intent, not to give it to
Right,
them.
I knew it wasn't the intent, but if I were just reading this as a resident, I would feel like you had an out to say, didn't really want to do it.
I think we took that from legal counsel, actually.
Huh?
So I think we took that from legal counsel, that wording
Oh,
that you're
really?
referring to.
Okay.
Yeah, we've worked with Brett on this.
So is there some way you could put a sentence in there saying, if you meet the final, inspection, you will get the 5% rebate?
We can certainly do that. Obviously, it's subject to appropriations every fiscal year. So we can't bind a future council to appropriate funds for this program. So even if someone commences their project prior to a following an ensuing fiscal year, if the council then decides not to appropriate funds and cancels the program, then even if they complete everything, they're not entitled to payment. So this is just it's supposed to be
legally,
catch-all.
that's the right language to
It
use.
just protects the city. I think the message will always be, we're invested in this program, and you complete this, you will receive the money. This is just to protect us from the concept that we've entered into a contract with the homeowner. Just because councils change their mind and the program could be eliminated at any time.
Okay. And then there were two different places. Let's see, page 3, letter B, number 2, talks about it being a license. If you use the contractor, it will be a licensed and registered contractor with Saginaw, which makes sense. You want it.
Right.
We apparently have a list of contractors that we
Yes.
know are approved.
Well, they're registered with the city.
Registered with the city. But then, and I believe it's page 6, Roman numeral 5, letter F, it actually sounds to me like that contractor needs to actually have their actual business in Saginaw. It doesn't say approved by Saginaw. It says we encourage you to use a business person that has their business in Saginaw.
Yeah, we encourage it. It's not a requirement.
You're not just saying they would have to be on the approved list, whether they were in Saginaw or not, right?
Yeah, to do certain trades, they have to be registered and licensed in the city of Saginaw for any project. That's not
And you're
just
just
for this.
saying it would be great if you would pick someone that
Correct.
actually has their business in Saginaw.
Yeah, we're promoting the Saginaw businesses in the document.
Okay.
Correct.
So,
So they don't have to have a contractor. They can
Correct.
do some of
They
their
can
work.
do
Yes.
DIY.
Okay.
good, that's what I was aiming to ask.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
I was confused there for a second.
So if I do it say I'm capable of painting myself, caulking and painting myself, as long as I do that and it passes inspection, then I would get paid for material.
Yeah, we talked to Larry about this, and I think we concluded that we would allow individual homeowners to do their own work. Obviously, they probably wouldn't let you go and do your own electrical. Maybe not, maybe so, but for small home repairs like painting and maybe replacing a window, we plan on allowing the individual homeowner to do those improvements.
Yeah, as long as they're meeting coding standards.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
I'll clarify for you. The state law allows homeowners to do just about anything as long as it's permitted and inspected,
Right.
except for gas.
Yeah.
You will have to be a licensed plumber.
Yeah, to the gas.
Other than that, you can certainly do what we.
Well, the water too, isn't it, because of the backflow and everything?
Oh, you can still do it.
Oh, you can?
Pass the back but that's licensed.
Oh, okay, I got you.
You just can't set the back door.
Well, I got you.
All right, so who's going to be, I want to say, managing this program or
It would
gatekeeper?
Yeah, it would mostly be held in the Building and Inspections Department. So, whoever Larry had. Honestly, this is probably going to be more of a submit the application, check the checklist, and then go from there. But there would be some finance part as well. And
Sure.
Yeah.
It will go to the building department. That's who will manage the program.
Okay. But it does not have to come to council, though. Good. I don't want to.
But I do have one question for
Sure,
you.
sure.
Like the dumpster roll-off, if we could get a discount on that, that might help. But Home Depot and Lowe's, sometimes if you talk to them, they might give homeowners a small discount on paint or stuff if they know they're working toward a program. Does that make sense?
We did look at something similar to that with sales tax as an incentive, but like I mentioned, this is the first year that we're doing this, and we really just want to keep it as simple as possible just because we're going to be in the trial stages and trying to see how it works.
Right.
Maybe at a later time we could definitely talk about that and bring that up. But
I just thought maybe if you called Home Depot or somebody and just told them what we were doing, And maybe if the people go there to buy it, they might give them a little bit of a discount. That would help.
They would have some documents from us,
Yeah.
the program, and they have an application that
That's
they
what I
can
mean.
take
If they
with them
had
and ask
something
for
like that, they might be willing to do that just to
Right.
help us out and them too.
Is there a Home Depot in Saginaw?
I know it's getting
No,
complicated, but
not in Saginaw, but it's close. There's one close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
I got one question. So it's 5K, is that 5K per year or 5K per?
Yeah, that would be 5K per program year.
per year.
Per program.
budget year.
How much money do we have budgeted for this program?
50,000, I believe.
25,000.
25,000.
So,
There's 25 from the capital account, and then there's 25 from the enterprise fund, but that's kind of what we're working on, because the enterprise fund dollars there's some regulations and stipulations how that can be spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing we talked about was potentially, it's all preliminary, but replacing private side between the main and the private connection,
Yeah.
because there's
Problems.
I
Yeah, they're
inflow,
getting all
and
rusted
it's making,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why we had the utility fund money budget.
Yeah. We just had to replace, well, not too long ago.
Yeah, when I mentioned right-of-way work, that that could include getting a new sidewalk if it's really beat up and just out of shape, and we can go out there and replace that to make it finish the look.
And you know, even what Mary said about using the businesses that actually were in Saginaw, they might give the people a little discount too if they go to them to use them.
We definitely want to encourage local homeowner, local
Look, I like
owners
to
and
save
business
money,
owners, and
All right, so there's one thing on here about repainting.
Sure.
And you say color must be consistent with the neighborhood. How do we define that? That
Oh,
sounds
gosh.
pretty,
Charlie should tell you about his neighbor.
well, if I want to paint my house bright blue, is that okay?
I don't think so. But
That's a loaded
Well,
question.
you're the mayor, we'd have to give you an
What,
exception.
what about pink? Can I
So-
get pink? I mean, I'm just saying, how do
Sure.
you define that? That sounds pretty correct.
Well,
yeah, the
I think
policy.
some things are going to left to building official discretion and consultation, as long as you're not doing anything purposely to cause a disturbance in the
I
neighborhood.
mean, honestly, if somebody paints their house blue as opposed to gray, is that a big deal?
we have several blue houses in Saginaw. We
yeah,
have an orange one.
There's plenty of leeway in here for the building department and their officials because since they will be processing the application and looking at all those, and they have to be involved throughout the whole process for inspections and things like that. So, yeah, I think there'd be some leeway for that for the building inspector.
Just curious.
There are some other requirements in there. For instance, we want them to replace the entire roof, not just 50% or something like that. Or,
yeah, I read those, yeah.
yeah, just to really make sure that, one, we're focusing on the front edge of the house, but also to make it look nice and conforming to the area.
All right, council, any other questions or feedback? It is,
No, but I
it
think
is
people
getting
are
late.
excited.
No, we're going to go through this money like crazy. People
Yeah,
don't want it.
that's what I was aiming to ask. So, say we start in January, and by May, we burnt through 50,000. Does that mean we're done for that year? And
Yes.
Yes.
So Kim reminded me it was 12,500 in the general fund, 12,500 in the utility fund. So if we maxed out, I think we would bring a budget amendment before you.
Mid-year
So
Yeah.
certainly be adjusted. And the other thing that we still have to work out is we can't spend the 12,500 from utility fund for somebody's roof. I mean, it has to be utility related,
Right.
water and sewer.
You know, that part will probably come true with Rancho North and the little older section because all those pipes are so old and they're going to.
And I have seen in other cities that they typically run out of money before the end of the fiscal year. So it'll say something like a program is closed for the fiscal year.
As long as y'all stipulate exactly what they can do, I think it'd be okay.
Yeah, I think this is a good program.
I do too. I think it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be very popular. Are there any other questions for Salvador, the chief?
Nope.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Salvador.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
sir.
Yeah, have a good night.
All right, move forward. Item number 17, adjournment. Let's go. Motion? Oh, Keith, you have something? All right, Charlie made a motion. Second?
Second.
Did you have something you want to say?
Well, I wanted to say something before we officially get on the
Sure.
record. Is Larry, I just wanted to say I really appreciate you working hard on that. I know that sometimes I can be ornery, but I'm always pushing. But Yeah, passion. There you go. But I really appreciate all you guys working on these. When you start looking into these ordinances, that they're not easy, and I understand why they haven't been updated. But please keep it up. Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, so Charlie made the motion to adjourn. Second. Valerie, second. All in favor, raise your right hand. At 9:30, adjourn. Thank y'all.
Holy cow! I got about 10,000 things here to carry home. You got a different hat on today. Yeah, it's your winter hat, huh? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Nice. You nailed it. Huh? When you said what you said.
Huh. Huh.
It'd be my luck to colors.